most, and I'm just saying what I see because I was everywhere. Okay. And usually I was the light bulb, the only white one in the, I don't care. I was
The light
raised
bulb.
this way. I was. Bing, look how white I am. I fucking glow in the dark. You kidding me?
So who was around you? You were around more Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, blacks. What's going on at that time?
Everybody, but because most B-boys were Puerto Rican, Cuban, Mexican, Dominican.
So
Yes.
you would see mostly Latinos in around you at that time.
I would say yes, but I was with everybody because this one club I went to with my girl in the Bronx, there was a good mixture, lot of blacks, a lot of Hispanics, deep in the hood. And from the minute I walked in, all heads turned. Like I was like, as long as they don't think I'm a narc or some shit, I don't care.
So,
So
like you said, it was like somebody turned on the light bulb, the
yeah,
light
yeah.
switch, and you
Bing, here
look
she
over there.
comes. So I was upstairs, but I didn't care because I'm used to being a mixed company. So it's not like
Yeah, you felt like you were part of everyone.
I used to take the friggin' trains out to the friggin' Castle Hill in the Bronx, 3 o'clock in the
Oh,
morning. It was
so
stupid.
did you ever go to 1018s?
Hell yeah. Oh yes, all the time.
Danceteria? You hear Danceteria too?
Like I said, those were my home clubs. The fun. I mean, listen, I performed in most clubs. Fresh 14. I mean, I've been to every club there was. And then we were always invited to things like with VIP people. Like we were invited to the after party for the Emmys. If you read my
Yeah.
Eric Estrada,
Yep, Eric Estrada.
my Eric Estrada story, that was some funny shit. But yeah, I was everywhere.
Can you tell the audience the Eric Estrada story, because that had me laughing when I was reading it.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just finish this one story where we
Yeah,
went
go
to
ahead,
the
go ahead.
club at the Bronx. Like I said, I'm the only white person there. Don't give a shit. Me and my girl on the dance floor, we're getting down. My song come on, boom. I started popping, and I got.
Hey guys, press that like button and don't forget to subscribe and press that bell notification.
The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Flash Talks, history worth listening to. I go by the name of Flashback. And ladies and gentlemen, on today's show, we have an exceptional guest all the way from Brooklyn, New York, who has made a significant contribution to the breaking world. Let's break it down. In 1983, she choreographed a performance for the Kennedy Center's honors in which the New York City Breakers and some members of Rocksteady crew, Magnificent Force, basically legendary breaking crews, perform in front of President Reagan. This performance has since become a piece of history, and our guest played a vital role in making it happen. Not only did she choreograph the performance, but she also taught the only big girls to do the 3-man helicopter. From now on, let's call it a 3-woman helicopter, a move where they pick up the girls and spin around. She has performed with Shaka Khan at the Beacon Theater. She has also performed with artists such as Run DMC, the Fat Boys, Curtis Blow, Houdini, Nucleus, and Dynamic Breakers. Her creativity and vision has left an indelible mark on the world of dance, especially with her crew, Dynamic Dolls. And we're excited to hear more about her experiences and insight and her history, or let's call it her story. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and let's welcome our guest, Kim A Kazi. What's up?
Hey, Flash, boy, with an intro like that, I'm gonna start posing for my statue. That was really beautiful. Thank you.
Hey, I have to give you your flowers right now. Let me tell you, I am all about anyone that was there before me, I have to honor and I have
Oh,
to congratulate, and I just have to pay my respect and say thank you. Thank you
oh,
for what
thank
you
you.
did in
You're
the
welcome.
past, because no people don't know. B girls, B boys out there, they don't even know that there were people that sacrificed their body, their like their mental state, so many things back then for brothers and sisters, B girls and B boys now that they're doing it on a global scale. So I have to thank you because you're one of the ones that paved the way. And thank you for taking the
Oh,
time and being part of the show. So
thank you for
welcome to
having me.
Flash
I'm
Talks.
so happy to be here. We've been trying
Awesome,
to do
awesome.
this for a while, so I'm very
Yes,
happy.
yes, yes. And I'm so happy to hear everything you have going and what you've done in the past, how your story started. Like I everyone wants to know your history, basically how it all started. But we're gonna start it from the top. How were you introduced to the hip hop culture? And I'm talking about the beginning, meaning even before you heard rap, graffiti, even before you saw the trains graphed up, just the beginning. Let's take Kim at 10 years old. You're 10,
Oh
10
boy,
little beautiful Kim hanging out. Talk to me about that. Like I wanna know the beginnings.
beautiful. I was a boy. I was a tomboy, sports. Uh, Basically, it's funny because I feel like my whole life prepared me for what was going to come, even though I couldn't have imagined it. So many things that I did. I was always that person that was teaching myself gymnastics in the streets of Brooklyn. My uncle was a gymnast, and I used to admire him, and I wanted to do what he did. So even during a ball game, while I was waiting for my turn at bat, I'd be doing handstands, one-arm handstands, and I'd always say, "What else can I do?" I always wanted to know what else my body can do. What else can I do? So I would do handstands with splits, handstands walking in a circle. And then I would do a one arm handstand. Now, I've said this before, and I said, make no mistake. I did not, nor am I trying to say that I created or started 1990s. I did not. When I was 9 years old, my girlfriend and I, we used to cross our legs Indian style, right? And then I would get up on my knees and we'd race across the floor. Then I'd get up on my hands, not knowing that eventually this would be called a float, and be going around. So, I was always pushing my body. I was already strong because I could have never done the moves that I went on to do later as a teenager, 17, years old, starting to pick guys up and put people on my head. I already had that strength. So I was always dancing. I won my first dance contest at 3 years old, you know, and it just felt like, and then there's all the things like I've heard other people say, we watched Shields and Yarnell. Anything to do with dancing, I was there. Any show, whatever you could find, music was always a part. And I had my mom and my aunt. They would dance. They would do the hustle because they would go out. We were too young. I was like 7. And we'd watch them and copy them. So it was always a part of my life. And the funniest thing is, I have to tell you, I never thought about this until later in life. I have been choreographing since I could dance, since I was a kid, because I used to make up shows with my sister and my cousin, my brother, anybody. And there was always a choreographed dance routine in the show. So it was just natural for me to bring it into popping and breaking.
Now
So,
you were around like all styles of dances, like let's say
always.
ballet, jazz, and Fred Astaire, tap dancing.
I
You were
watched
seeing
it.
everything.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think in my book I tell the story where my cousin was taking tap, and I was so jealous. I wanted to. So we went to go pick her up one day, and the class was still going, and there was the dressing room where you could look in and watch the kids dancing. And there was a barrel with extra tap shoes. So I was in that barrel trying them on. I learned that whole dance routine right then and there. So afterwards, the teacher, they just happened to be taking measurements because the big show was coming. You know how they all do the show in a auditorium or something. And I was in the room with my cousin, and I was doing the tap routine, and the teacher's like, who's that? Like, who is this kid in my class doing this? She actually put me in the show.
Just
Never
like
wore
that.
a pair of tap shoes in my life. Yeah. So when I tell you it's just in the blood, you know, dancing. It was
Now,
always,
what year would you say is that, if you could kind of remember?
I was 9. So
You were 9, so is this like early 80s?
yeah, well, I was born in 65. I'm
Okay.
old. I'm knocking on 58, July 58.
Oh,
So,
wow. Well, you look great for 58. That's
well,
amazing.
I don't
And,
know.
and I guess is the genes from like, what, you Italian? Like you have
Yes.
family Italians? Okay.
Yes.
Everyone from your mom and dad's side
Yeah,
Italian?
my mom, hotsy totsy boy. Growing up
And I know,
with
and
a
I know
good-looking mom
Brooklyn.
like that, I got some perks from the male teachers at school. He's like, oh, why don't you ask your mother to volunteer to come on the trip? You know.
Look at that. So I know Brooklyn back then, according to stories. I read a lot of books. I've always been into history. Even when I was a kid, I would look at stuff, old tapes of my dad, uncles, just to see how it used to be in the 70s and the 80s. And I know Brooklyn, man, Brooklyn, the 70s was big time. And like the word
Oh, you're
Brooklyn in New York, it don't
Puertorriqueño,
matter where
right?
you at. Huh?
You're Puerto Rican, Puertorriqueño, right?
I'm Dominican. I'm Dominican.
Okay, Dominican, same thing. You grew up with music in your house. Don't tell me that your
Yes.
moms didn't have the music going with the
Absolutely.
My son
And
grew
I
up
know
the same
Italians
way.
are the same way, and
Yep.
with the cooking too, because my brother-in-law, he's Italian, pure Italian from Brooklyn. I believe he's from Bed-Stuy, and if he's not, man, he's gonna kill me. But I believe he is from Bed-Stuy, and his last name is Cardici. Pure Italian. People, I literally think he came out of like a soprano film. Every time I talk to
yeah,
him, like
that's my
if I
family.
talk to him for a few minutes, this side of the arm will be already sore because he would just start talking to me,
Oh yeah.
moving
Yeah.
me, and it's like,
Yeah.
relax.
Always the
So-
hands. You take away our hands, we can't talk.
and
Hands
I
are
love
always
it because
flying
it's,
everywhere. Yeah.
and I love it because it's passion. And Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, we got that passion, and Italians as well. So
Well,
I know Brooklyn.
my son is half Italian, half Puerto Rican.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So I could just imagine
Wow, the
his
women
style.
love him, and he's
Oh,
a
and how old is he? How old is he now?
He will be 37 this week. My baby, my one and only.
Forever your baby. Doesn't
baby.
matter if he's 50
One
years
of the
old.
one of the few kids from back in the day that both parents were a b-boy and a b-girl, real, like professional out there.
Wow.
You have Kano and Susie, who were with Dynamic, and then you got me and my ex, who was with Furious Rockers down from Coney Island.
Okay. What was his b-boy name?
D-Rock, Suicide Kid.
Oh, wow. Suicide Kid. That's awesome. So now let's go back to, let's say, right before you got introduced to, you started seeing the rise of breaking and hip hop and colors and all these things that were coming up. Can you remember when you first like heard rap or graffiti, or you saw anything?
Well, yeah, I was there with everybody else, hearing it on the radio, and of course, everyone goes to Rapper's Delight, but my favorite rap was The Adventures of Super Rhymes by my dear friend Jimmy Spicer, R.I.P.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he passed away a year after my husband from the same cancer, so it was very upsetting.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but that was always my favorite. I loved it. I just loved, but here's the funny thing. It's all around you. And my home from like late 81, 82 was the Funhouse. I don't know if you must have come out.
Oh, I've always heard of the Funhouse. Seen video, pictures.
That was my home. I could tell you, I got an appointment book, right? Every Friday and Saturday. I don't know what happened to my 1981 and 1983. I'm lucky I have some of the memorabilia. I do. I have a 1982 book where I could tell you who performed at the Funhouse every Friday and Saturday night for almost the entire year, because I was there every Friday. Most people went Saturday. Some people, I went both. I lived there.
Wow. So how old were you when you first went to Funhouse? If you could remember the first time you went to Funhouse, that you opened the door, you saw this amazing. Well, sounds like a circus. What you call it, the
It
fun
was
house.
great. Well, here's the funny thing. My uncle was one of the owners, and my mom worked there
Oh,
as a bartender. So I wouldn't go. Who wants to go to a club where your mom is?
of course not.
I don't.
Yeah.
So finally, the traveling, because we were in Brooklyn and this was in Manhattan on West 26th Street. She stopped because it was just too much. The hours were late. You got 3 teens at home. So she stopped. As soon as she stopped, I was there because my sister had been there, heard about it all. So I already kind of knew what to expect. But I didn't know if they were going to let me in, my uncle knowing how old I was. So I brought me and my 2 girlfriends, and I'm like at first, yeah, my uncle's part owner, bragging. And then when we got there, I'm sitting there like, oh shit, what if he don't let me in? What if he sends us home and embarrasses me? Oh my God, they're gonna think
yeah.
I made this shit up or whatever. So we get in the door, in the front door from outside. You're not in the funhouse yet. And my uncle always has this face like this. So I'm looking at him and I'm saying to myself, oh God, that's it. He's sending me home. I'm going to be so embarrassed. He looks at me, he gives me a little head nod, and then I was in. So, they had the mirrors when you first walk in, like in a fun house that makes you look tall. And then there was the plastic, like at a meat market. You ever see those? They keep the
Yes,
cold out.
definitely.
Okay. And then once you go through that, and they had one of the best sound systems there, and that music just bam hits you. Never ever was there a place, or will there ever be a place like the Fun House. Behind me, I have even though I'm not really decorated yet, I still got to paint, but I have my Fun House clown up there. I have my Fun House VIP card my uncle gave me. There's a big documentary coming out on the history of the Funhouse. It's going to be phenomenal, is the name, but it's going to be.
Okay.
Everybody talks and everybody remembers their first experience. How many people snuck out the house to get there, and then eventually that's how I met incredible, dynamic rockers.
So you met all of them
so much
at
history.
the fun house? At the
Yep.
fun house?
Yep.
Wow. So do you remember the music that was playing when you went in that night? If you
No.
can kind of remember what was. So
I was just so happy to get there. I had to, because I thought, for a minute, I had to get my senses. No, but I just remember the great energy of the place. And then, went over here, you went over there. And it wasn't after I started going a couple of times that I found my home at the backstage. That was the Breakin stage. That is where shit went down. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of people say, yeah, I went to the Funhouse. A lot of B-boy crews went to the Funhouse, but they didn't go to the Funhouse all the time, because if you're a known breaker and you go to that backstage, you better bring it, because you had to get through people like Chino, O'Brien, Float, Kid Freeze, Pex. I mean, you never know who was there, but if you were going to step on that backstage, you better bring it, because there was going to be talent. So a lot of people would get their hand handed to them and just never come back because they couldn't mess with the talent back there. But you had two dances that were born from the Funhouse, which was a dance called bugging and a dance called kick dancing.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you ever heard of those.
Yes, I have. I've had.
But yeah, you could see footage on those. Those were created. Listen, we could do a whole show on just the Funhouse. Put it that way.
I could
The
imagine.
acts that Madonna came from the Funhouse, Lisa came to the Funhouse. My career started at the Funhouse. A lot of people's did. Run DMC recorded "Here We Go" live at the Funhouse.
Wow. So you were there every Friday. Yeah. That was your spot.
Friday, Saturday.
So anything that happens throughout the week, your mind is thinking, I can't wait for the Funhouse this weekend.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I had to be there.
Now, how do you get into the sense of saying, I want to become a B-girl? Like, how, I want to hear the story, how,
okay,
you said you saw the stage, but how was it that you said, I want to get down with this?
Okay, so it's all around me. there's breaking going on. I wasn't into locking, because remember, I was always watching Soul Train, and you've seen it on What's Happening, and I
Yes.
just wasn't into the locking thing. I liked it, just didn't grab me. Breaking, you saw it in its earlier form and Up Rock and everything, but it was one night, and he came. I guess he was down Incredible. I don't know, but he came with Chino and Brian. I actually have a picture of this. I wonder if I have it right here.
Okay.
And there was this dude named Mike Boogie. Okay. And I had never, ever seen anybody pop like this dude. And I was just like, I want to do that.
Oh,
that
so
was the moment. I was oh, hell yeah, man.
Wow. So you saw popping and you got gravitated to that.
Yep.
You didn't really care about locking. Popping was the thing for you.
Not even breaking yet.
Wow. So tell me more.
So the next day I wake up because I was at my girl's house. I slept over her house, and she had a big mirror on the wall in her room. Big mirror. First thing I did, got out of bed, and I stood in front of the mirror, and I did this. I remember watching, and I started isolating the joints. And, like you do this at first until you learn, and then I would do it in a wave. And that's how I just started. And then I remembered things that I had seen people doing. So I remember they would take it up, down through the body, back up, this, that. So I made up this one little routine. It was probably so whack as I think about it, but I know I did the isolation popping, and then I did the waves, brought it down, and then I did this. I remember I turned my head to the side, shoulders, my waist, and then you bring your feet around. And I would go around in a circle like that, then do some more of these other, I think I did something like this, like really, this is my first time. I was practicing like 2 weeks, like I would dial the wave down. And so the song comes on that I was practicing to, which was One More Shot. I don't know why. Ooh. That was the song I was practicing to. So
I love that song.
I'm at the backstage with my girls, right? And I'm like, look what I learned. So I I look at them, and I'm doing my little popper routine, while I wasn't doing that, but I'm doing my little popper routine, my little thing. And all of a sudden I hear applause and screaming going on. And I'm like, oh, what happened? Because Michael Jackson walked in one day. I mean, you never knew what was going to happen at this club.
That's
John Travolta, Sly Stallone, they got pictures of these people, right? So I'm thinking something's going on. What? So I turn around, and there's a whole crowd, and they're clapping for me. And they're like, do more. And I'm like, that's all I know. They're like, we'll do it again. So that was it.
So what did that do to you right there when you felt that? What did it do to you right there?
Oh, I was hooked. Forget it. I was just showing my little friends, but all these people liked it. I was like, okay, it must be good. And that was it. It was on. No turning back.
So how long were you popping for that you introduced yourself into getting into breaking?
Well, I always did stuff on the floor. Always. Even when you were doing webo and lofting, you had dolphin dives, you had side glides, you'd slide across the floor on your side, and always did that stuff, But let's see. It's when I first met Kano from the Dynamic Rockers at the Funhouse. And he was watching me, just regular dance, the webo and all that stuff. Maybe I did a little pop, and he came over to talk to me. He's like, oh, man, you're really good. You should be, meet us, whatever. But I still didn't join up with them yet. The next week or two, I used to do this spin. And I have to tell you, there's not too many things in life that any dancer could say, I'm the only person I ever saw do it in the world. Saw do it. I'm not saying I created
at that time.
Spin. Yep. I'm really messed up. So I don't know but I think if I practiced and got my balance and core, I probably would be able to do it. You know how the ice skaters and the roller skaters do that spin where they just
and they go down and they go down and go.
No, I wasn't going down,
Oh, okay.
But just doing that on the regular floor is hard enough. Now he wants me to do tricks. No. But I used to do it on the heel of my Webo boot. So it would be funny because you see my boots and my left boot always had the rubber in a slant where it was wasted away from doing the spin.
Oh, so many times you did it. It grinded
right.
it.
Only on my left side. So I had my shirt Spinner from the Juice Crew because Jelly Bean had named us the Juice Crew.
Oh,
that we
that's
used
awesome.
to dance. And this dude sitting on the backstage, and he calls me over. Okay, I go over, and he's like, "Yo, why you rocking my name?" I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yo, Spinner, that's my name. Why you rocking my name?" So I was like, he's like, "We're gonna have to battle for it." I was like, "Okay." So he says, "Well, let me see. Show me what you got. Why they call you Spinner?" So I did a few dance moves, and I do this spin. And he was just like, "Yo, you got it. You got it." He's like, because to see a human being do that on a regular floor, sometimes, I mean, I have many witnesses. As a matter of fact, Chino from Incredible, his ex-wife, remember, she said, "Yo, Kim, I remember one day after the fun house, you took me back to your house because I asked you to teach me your spin." And she said, and you tried, and it's not something you could just do like this. Anyway, it took me a long time, and it just happened. I wasn't trying to do that spin. It just started from 1 and 2, and then I just found that perfect balance and core and just took off. But that's a move that I never saw. So anyway, that's what kind of brought me into the dynamic rockers, and then from there, you had to hit the floor. And that's when, breaking started for me.
So now, who approached you from dynamic breakers or rockers? Because I get all confused sometimes. I'm like, dynamic breakers, dynamic rockers. It's like, all that mess that happened, whatever
if you
that
think about
happened.
it this way, what came first? Rocking, upright,
Correct.
rocking, right? Because there wasn't any breaking in the beginning.
Yeah,
That's
nobody
why
was
you
basically
got
saying anything
curious
breakers.
rockers, dynamic rockers, rocket. You got all those names. So rocksteady, and like I said, I met Kano and Wancho, and then later he changed his name to Flip when we were dynamic breakers. So I had met them first, then I met Spinner, and then they invited me to come and check out, what they were doing, and that's it. I was down with their crew.
Immediately. And then how did it turn into because I know you started doing a lot of things, traveling and performing. Did it take a lot of time for you guys to immediately start performing, traveling, or was it like all in the same year that just happened?
No, I didn't stay with the Dynamic Rockers very long. I had left, and I was approached by Nelson Cruz, who was the manager for the Incredible Body Mechanics.
Okay.
And they had breakers, but they were predominantly poppers. I remember these guys came up in the fun house. Everything happens in the fun house, I'm telling you.
That's amazing.
These dudes got white shirt, black pants, the white gloves, right? And they saw me dancing, and they offered me. I had a lot of crews approaching me to be down with them, because not to pat myself on the back, but I got that good. I had to battle dudes because there were no girls.
So everywhere you would go, there's no B-girls. And what year would you say that is?
I didn't say that. I didn't say there were no. I said they couldn't touch me. Like you had Peaches on your show, and man, she just got some great imagination. But she has done interviews in newspapers, or I don't know if it was a magazine article, where she was asked about were there any other females. All right, she will not, unless pushed, mention Dynamic Dolls. She didn't even mention on your show that I know Josie, who was with her in Beach Street, because the day I was at Beach Street, my girls didn't show up. I was like, I don't think I'm coming back. I mean, and the smiles on their faces were huge because they figured without me there, they got a better chance. But the first time I met Peaches, she approached me. I was in Studio 54 with Susie Q, the girl I used to spin on my head, one of the dolls. And we're just dancing freestyle, right? And I don't know, maybe I threw out a wave. I have no clue. I was doing regular dancing. And Susie goes, what the hell is this? And I'm like, what? And I turn around and I see this big mess of dark curly hair coming at me from out of the corner. She had guys behind. It was like a movie. She coming at me. I didn't know what she wanted. She just comes straight at me, stops, and she starts doing some locking whatever routine. And I'm like, so she's coming at me to battle me. I don't think she knew who I was. I don't think she knew what she was stepping up to, because I just started going off, and she turned away and went right back in the corner to where she came from. And that was my one and only interaction with her. I mean, we would be at the same places and everything, but it pisses me off that other females will not. I don't care who you are. If I don't like you, but you're there, you were there. I'm going to talk about you. I'm going to mention you. But this is my problem that they don't do. And this really, why would you be involved with something that involves history? And it's not just her, because I've seen Wiggles do it. None of them will talk. And then because they're friends with her, dynamic dolls under the rug. And this
now,
is
what year was this? What year where was it? He said she approached you. And where?
Studio 54, she approached me.
At Studio 54.
And the funny thing is, I didn't really go there. We did a few shows there, but other than that, I really didn't go to Studio 54 too
Now,
much.
everyone knew about dynamic dolls at that time already?
I can't say I really can't say who knew. Most people knew who we were because we came up with most everybody. And
So
we got
meaning if
along
they
with
go to the
everybody.
fun house, they will definitely know the dynamic dolls.
Yeah.
Plus,
Definitely.
your uncle's half owner of that.
And then the Roxy, then we started doing the Roxy. But then after that, once we were so busy on tour, traveling, working, I had to get somebody to do my laundry. I didn't even have time to come home and do my laundry. We were back on the tour bus or we were flying off somewhere. We were so always busy. I had an appointment book and it was filled. We used to do the spots for like KTU, Kiss FM, BLS, hi, we're the Dynamic Dolls and you're listening to, we used to do all those.
Mm-hmm.
Just commercials, it was craziness.
So you were booked like crazy and you didn't even have time to even hang out and relax. It was
I didn't have time to heal. I didn't have time to heal. I broke this collarbone. I tore all the ligaments in this arm doing a show for Liza Minnelli and Cheetah Rivera. My neck bone is crushed up against my brainstem. I now have scoliosis because my back is so twisted. All my discs are shot. The nerve endings down my spine are disintegrated, and my pelvis is twisted this way. So that gives me neuropathy, all this. I have neuropathy in my hands and feet. I mean, the list just goes on. The fibromyalgia, but I got nobody to blame but myself. Nobody told me at 17 years old to put a dude on my head or lift two guys. Nobody told me to do that. But
that's good. Now, and was this your kind of like your style?
Yeah, we always, once in the beginning, we had to dress like the dudes to get, you had to get your street credit. You had to be.
Who you there with? Who's
that's
that?
Susie Q, and that's in Italy. And we're rocking. I think I got ponies on. We had so many sponsors; it was insane. More than any other cruise that I know. Seriously, Puma.
So you didn't even know what you will pick and choose what you wanted to wear out of your closet. So many sponsors you had.
No. Well, what happened was in the beginning, if you look like at the Kenny Center Honors, I'm rocking a Adidas suit, and when I was doing, I had a pink, because pink was my color. I always had some kind of pink going on. And the girls used to get pissed off because in the Beat Street Strut video, we were the only ones there we had a trailer, with a kitchen and all that stuff, makeup artists. We had wardrobe. And so you're wearing the pants I had on. The outfit was Shams the Baron had designed those outfits for us to go on the morning show with Regis Philbin. And then we had Puma sent over outfits for us to do, because what's the point of having sponsors if you're not rocking their stuff? Swatch
Correct.
watch. God, I wish you know how many Swatch watch. I used to give them away by the handful. We used to get deliveries at headquarters, is where Breakdance International was in Manhattan. It was a business. Breakdance International was.
And weren't they the sponsors for Fresh Fest?
Yes. Yes,
and that's that right there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is amazing. And you still have that shirt?
Yep. That's my shirt.
Wow. That's such a classic shirt right there, right?
Mm-hmm. There was another one too I have on in a picture. It was a black one, and it has B-Boy on the front and then all the names on the back. I have a picture of that one, but I don't have that shirt.
So what about this right here? Talk to me about this. What's going on here?
This is the Beat Street Strut video. This is during filming. And what I love about this picture is the girl at the end in the orange was not a dynamic doll. She was one of the Dynamic Breakers girls, but she had been to so many of our practices that she learned the routine.
Wow.
But do you see how we are all in the same position?
Yes.
That's from a video, Frozen. Look at our feet. Look, that picture of me and Susie earlier in Italy, where we were rocking. I told you I had the ponies on.
Mm-hmm.
That was an impromptu photo. I said, Susie, they said, take a picture. So I said, do the Roxy. Boom. And we both, everything is the same, because I was a tyrant in the studio, wherever we practiced. It has to be perfect. If you want to be the best, if you want to be professional, we got to all be doing it at the same time, like one.
How many hours you would train a day?
God, I don't know. I mean, it depends on what was going on. If you're on tour, okay, now the Beat Street Strut video, I wound up in the hospital the next day because I had just come back from a tour of the French Antilles with the Swift Kids, because Dynamic Breakers were on the Pepsi tour with Michael Jackson.
Oh, wow.
But we didn't know that. We didn't know about that at the time, because I was like,
oh, at the time they're out there doing their thing and you're doing something else you don't even know.
We didn't know. They sent us with these Swift Kids. We're like, all right. So, but that was funny. If you read the book when we did they speak French out there. And we always had a translator, and they wanted us, you got to do promos, you got to do TV shows, you got to do radio shows. It's all part of the package. So we went to do an interview, and of course there was a translator, but then they're like, oh, they want you to rap. Now, I had written a rap for the Dynamic Dolls. We were supposed to have our own record, which is also in my book.
Do you still know the rap? You still know it?
Some of it. It's written down somewhere. You're not going to make me...
I was gonna drop a beat right now.
No. I gotta rap it, but let me see.
You could say it. You don't have to rap it. You can say the words just to hear a little bit of it.
With it done. Okay, mine was with a capital K. I'm known as Kim A Kazi. My moves are that's a capital K. I'm known as Kim A Kazi. My moves are flame throwing, always flowing naturally. Waves go through my body like electrical force. I'm in a rage on the stage when it's time to go off. And it's a fact that I ain't whack, because there ain't no special talent that I lack. Always fresh, never fast, only claim I'm the best. Kim A Kazi, better than the rest, or some, I don't remember the rest. But I had a whole thing with all of us. Amazing. And then the girl, listen, I'm a white girl from Brooklyn, and it's 1983. Come on, I ain't no rapper, but, it wasn't too bad for them. But
so now when people are looking at you weird, or they were surprised, like you said, a white girl from Brooklyn, throwing down, doing all these amazing things, usually I'm going to assume, and I don't know because I wasn't there, what was predominantly the majority of the race that you see performing, like in places?
Mixed crowd, but most, I'm just saying what I see because I was everywhere. Okay, and usually I was the light bulb, the only white one in the. I don't care. I was
The light
raised
bulb.
this way. I was. Bing! Look how white I am. I fucking glow in the dark. You kidding me?
So who was around you? You were around more Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, blacks. What's going on at that time?
Everybody, but because most B-boys were Puerto Rican, Cuban, Mexican, Dominican.
So
Yes,
you would see mostly Latinos in around you at that time?
I would say yes, but I was with everybody because this one club I went to with my girl in the Bronx, there was a good mixture, a lot of blacks, a lot of Hispanics, deep in the hood. And from the minute I walked in, all heads turned. Like, I was like, as long as they don't think I'm a narc or some shit, I don't care.
So like you said, it was like somebody turned on the light bulb,
Yeah,
the light
yeah.
switch, and you
Bing, here
look
she
over there.
comes. So I was upstairs, but I didn't care because I'm used to being a mixed company. So it's not like
Yeah, you felt like you were part of everyone.
I used to take the friggin' trains out to the friggin' Castle Hill in the Bronx, 3:00 in the morning.
So did you ever go to 1018s?
Hell yeah. Oh yes, all the time.
Danceteria? You hit Danceteria too?
Like I said, those were my home clubs. The fun. I mean, listen, I performed in most clubs. Fresh 14. I mean, I've been to every club there was. And then we were always invited to things like with VIP people. Like we were invited to the after party for the Emmys. If you read my Eric Estrada.
Yep, Eric Estrada.
My Eric Estrada story. That was some funny shit. But I was everywhere.
Can you tell the audience the Eric Estrada story, because that had me laughing when I was reading it.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just finish this one story where we
went to
a club at the Bronx. Like I said, I'm the only white person there. Don't give a shit. Me and my girl on the dance floor, we're getting down. My song come on, boom. I started popping, and I got this guy comes, tap me on my shoulder. I turn around. He's like, yo, I don't know what he said, wants to see you. I turn around, and it was like, the first thing in mind me was like Bombada with the whole outfit, the chain, rings on every finger, dark sunglasses in the dark club at night, like this. And I'm like, oh shit, he's throwing me out. He's gonna tell me to get out.
And you didn't know who he was?
I don't know, but he had a whole entourage with him, male and female. So I'm like, this is their friggin' it's like a movie, I'm telling you. And I'm like, all right, this is where they tell me out. No whiteys allowed or some shit, So I go over and he goes from this to, damn girl, I never seen no girl pop it. Damn, and a white girl, you blowing my mind. And he was like, he paying me compliments. So inside I'm like, but I'm like, oh, thank you. That's very nice, playing it off and everything. And here's my girlfriend. She tried to pull me away. Get me out of there, right?
And you still didn't know who they were?
No, I don't know who they were. So he's like, yo, to give me some skin. And he left behind a little present. I was like, I didn't do drugs. But I'm street enough to know you don't, that's a compliment somebody's giving you, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh, thanks. Yeah, I'll check you later. And my girlfriend's she pulls me to the bathroom. So when I showed her, and then we wound up just flushing it, I threw it down the toilet, whatever. It wasn't no huge bag. It was a little envelope.
So when did you find out who he was?
I still don't know.
Oh, you still don't even know who that man was?
No, I thought he was kicking me out. Meanwhile, he just wanted to, he was just blown away by my skills. Because you said, how did people react to you? But the Eric Estrada story was, like I said, we were invited to the after party of the Emmys. So, you get dressed up. You got a lot of people, it was a beautiful place. So I'm there with my manager and Susie Q. And at this point, we were looking because Brenda K. Starr is now doing her singing career. So she was no longer dancing with us. And we were looking for another doll. So this lady came. So anyway, Eric Estrada had his own little, sunken living room kind of thing with the couch. And he had, security stand in front of him. He's wearing a tux. And I liked him when he was on Chips, but I never liked him after that because he's very arrogant and conceited. And all the women, Eric Estrada, they're all running. And, he's eating it up. So I'm over there flicking dead I mean, I was a stupid kid. There were ashtray with, like, dead cigarettes. And I put little, like, ash marks all over the back, like playing tic-tac-toe on the back of his tux. So anyway, I'm talking to my manager, and I feel somebody next to me because I don't like nobody coming up behind me. You got that presence, And who is it? Eric Estrada. He's got to come to the one female in the whole place that has no interest in him whatsoever. So anyway, he starts talking to me, and I was like, is this an adult, what a grown man talks about? He's telling me how John Wilcox, his partner in Chips, was jealous of him. And I was like, so after a while, I don't mean to be rude, but I kind of just didn't turn around anymore. I was just talking to my manager, and then finally he went away. So there was this girl, she wanted to audition to be in the Dolls. So I got one of our business cards, and I had this stairway, like, when you go up in a theater, you got that little stairway and then seats on either side. Well, they had steps like that, but they had little tables with the candle, you sit at and whatever. So the girl was up there. Now I'm in a gown, I'm in heels, so I'm trying to be careful, and I'm walking up and keeping my eye on where she is. And I come down the stairs, and I'm trying not to fall, embarrass myself. And my manager is hysterical laughing. So I'm thinking, like, I got toilet paper on my shoe. My dress is tucked in my panties. Like, why is he laughing at me? And he's like, oh, my God, that was so great. I love that you did that to him. And I said, what? What did I do? What are you talking about? He said, you didn't mean to do that. I said, I don't know what you do. Well, when I was bringing this girl the business card, I guess Eric Estrada was sitting on the way up. And I didn't notice because I'm looking over here. He thought I was bringing him my phone number. So he got up and did the swap thing and came over to get it. And I guess I just passed him on by, and he like did one of those things and sat back down, I didn't see it, but I was like, my manager thought it was the funniest thing. I said, well, I wish I could take credit for it, but I couldn't. Anyway.
Which is an amazing story, because that happens a lot to men, especially men that think they're on top of the world. Yeah. Especially at that moment, he's a big name at that time. And I imagine he was so famous, like you said, all the women are going crazy.
All the women, but see, the one that didn't want to be bothered with him is the one that they come over. Because I don't like being mean. If guys used to step to me all the time in the clubs. And if you come like a gentleman, or you want to dance, and oh, I'm sorry, I'm married, or even I've just danced, and I go home and tell my husband, oh yeah, this guy asked me to dance, because my husband knows what kind of woman I am. I'm not, 1,000% trust. But if you come over like acting like, oh, Mr., I don't like that. Don't be disrespectful,
Yes,
but it takes a lot for a guy to come over to a woman, and their friends are all watching them,
So they're basically showing off. And then around that time, were you already involved with everyone, people like performing, traveling at that time?
Yes.
You were big now. Yeah, go ahead.
We were basically back to performing with the Dynamic Breakers because it was just me and Susie Q. So we were desperately looking. You didn't have. This is why when somebody says, "Oh yeah, there was this big girl and she was doing this and that," where? Because we were putting in the paper auditioning anybody we could not find. Then we found JC. Okay, she was the other Hispanic girl with the dark hair. This was after the morning show right here.
Yes. Let me see. I think, do you send me that picture? Is it part of here?
Yeah, that's JC in the green. Susie usually wore orange, and me with the pink. See? Look at that breakdance. Shams the Baron made that pink and pink pants to match just for me because that was my color.
And was that always your haircut? Like you always like that type of
hair? No, I always
had
long hair. And my girlfriend, I said, just cut it a little shorter. I didn't know she smoked the blunt before I came over and cut. Oh my God. My hair
I could
went
imagine.
from here to there. That's
And
how
how
I got
you
the short
felt?
hair.
You probably went
How did
nuts.
I feel?
I know women with their hair that
And
like,
back then,
especially.
they didn't have all like the really beautiful, cool styles. Now they got so it was so hard. But my ex, he loved my hair short. So I would grow my hair, and he would, oh, please, oh, I miss it. And stupid me, I cut it off again. And then it took me forever to grow it back out again. So I went through many years of funky hairstyles in between. So yeah, man, that's how I never had short hair. I always had long hair my whole life. She cut my hair
Now,
off.
around that time, who were your mentors or teachers at that time that were guiding you, helping you out, showing you the ropes? Or if you're doing something wrong, like let's say in the breaking scene, or it doesn't have to be breaking, it could be anything that was guiding you and kind of counseling you and saying, do it this way, or giving you business advice, just anything that you could think of.
Well, a lot of that guidance came from our guys, the dynamic breakers. But most of the time, they're doing this stuff. Like I said, once we got JC in it, now it became a whole new routine for females, So we weren't always with them. So it was us I remember what Susie and I went through trying to learn windmills on our own. I mean, if somebody would have said, no, do this, or if you just do this and push on this point and not that point, it took us forever to get them. Okay? Susie Q, let me tell you something. Susie Q would have kicked a lot of other B girls that came 10 years later. She was massive on the floor. Because that once I tore this at the end of a show we did for Liza Minnelli and Cheetah Rivera. I choreographed a routine where we were all spinning. So it was the Dynamic Breakers and the Dynamic Dolls performing together. Well, it was just me and Susie Q at that point. And this is in front of Lucille Ball. I mean, big Hollywood people. So at the very last few seconds of the routine, we had Deuce doing head spins, who's doing windmills. Susie and I were doing hang glides, who's doing floats. Everybody was spinning at the same time. And I had a do-rag. And this was at the Roxy. That floor was already slippery. And I just went so fast, I slipped and tore everything. And I fell into a freeze. But
to play it off.
Everybody else is still spinning.
Oh,
it was only for like 2 or 3 seconds. But to me, it felt like I was laying there for 10 minutes. And my hand was like Fred Flintstone, like, And Liza Minnelli and Cheetah Rivera were sitting right there. They pulled the champagne out of the bucket, brought it to me on the dance floor, and stuck my hand in. And then they made me got the first aid kit, made me like a sling. Did I go home? No.
Of course not.
When Chino and Bryant made me break my collarbone in Washington Square Park.
Oh,
that the bone is still sticking out. Did I go home? No.
So now how do you get into hanging out with Chino and Brian? Because those are my uncles right there.
Yeah,
and Sammy, rest in peace, Eddie. Like all those guys, you used to see them on the regular at Funhouse?
Funhouse.
So they became your brothers immediately?
Huh?
They became your brothers immediately when you met them?
We all became, like I said, we already had this little juice crew going that, like I said, Jelly Bean had given us the name. And I remember when Chino and Bryant and Sammy was working at the food truck outside the Funhouse. So that's how he got, because they were young. Chino was like 14. No, I'm not playing.
No, I know, because I see pictures of him traveling as a little kid, and I'm like, I didn't even know it was that.
And he was
young.
already nasty at that point. He was already, forget it, wow. So they came, where was we? Backstage. They came to the backstage, and we just, because you see, here's the misconception some people have. B-boys, they can't dance. I don't know who came up with that. Somebody jealous or some shit, because every B-boy I knew started with the Webo, with, all them other dances, lofting and house, and, every B-boy I know could dance.
And they could dance with a girl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hustle. True. A
Yes.
lot of them could hustle. So, yeah, they came right. They started hanging with us, and that was it. We used to hang all the time. We would leave the fun house. Now, sometimes the fun house wouldn't close until 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, there was no
Wow.
set time. If they didn't raid the place and throw us out in the middle, we would stay there until they let us. You know, we all had bags with change of clothes because you would dance. So you would. That's where Madonna got all her shit. She stole all that stuff from the funhouse.
Look at that. Now, around that time when you were Dynamic Doll and everyone knows you at the fun house, who was your competitors? Do you see other B girls or little crews that will come up trying to battle ya? Do you know anyone out there that was throwing down or that you heard names of? Even if you didn't see them, you know, you always
Well,
gonna have.
we got JC from Tri-Style Females, but
Where
they
they
were
from?
just like an up and coming. You know, I wish I could tell you because there were b-boy crews that couldn't handle us. And forget that we were females. We were the real deal. We weren't just doing little cutesy moves, and you know, we were doing the real everything the guys were doing basically. I couldn't do head spins, which I thought I would be the best one because when I was a kid, I used to do headstands with no hands.
What was your
Just
favorite
because,
move? What was your go-to if you're battling a B girl or a B boy back then? What would be your go-to move that you would throw at them just to like, you know, because you knew you were good at that?
geez, you know, they can't. At the time before I tore this, the only real power moves I had windmills, but I didn't like to throw them out because I felt that your legs had to be straight when you do windmills. If your legs were bent, that means that you were beginning, you just weren't good at it. That's just
Mm-hmm.
how I felt. I didn't know. And my legs weren't there yet. So, you know, I didn't have that many, like I said, I had a lot of floor moves. We had a lot of footwork. I really only did hang glides at that point, and my
So you were a full package, basically. You didn't specifically stick to one move. You were
it
all
depends,
around.
but so many people would not. They already knew what we were about, and no guy wants to be beat by a girl. I remember I took this one guy out in the Roxy. He didn't know who I was. And we had a friendly little circle. Because remember, I'm friends with everybody. Oh, here's New York City Breakers. Oh, here's, you know, Float. Here's Kid Freeze. Here's this one. Here's that one. You know, we were all down. So we all knew each other. Everybody knew what we
So
were
what about the
capable
guys
of.
from Brooklyn? Because I know you're from Brooklyn.
Oh.
Talk to me about the Brooklyn cats.
yo, I would be at my aunt's house, right? And all the dudes from the neighborhood, they were all proud of me, you know. All the white boys were, oh, we know. They would tell everybody about me. So they started bringing dudes to my house who heard about me. Oh, white girl who could pop, I'll take her ass out and everything. And they would come and ring my aunt's bell, and I would come down. Oh, this guy wants to battle you. Then they started coming from the Bronx and everywhere.
Wow, it was like that. No,
None
no
of
B
them.
girls, no B girl, no females will come and knock on your door.
No.
That's
As a
crazy.
matter of
So
fact, you know, it made me sad. And I tell the funny story. I don't want to give all my book away, but there's a funny story in there about we heard about the big breakdance contest at Roseland because Roseland wasn't one of the places we usually went. And we just happened to be at Studio 54 because I just did a show there. And we didn't usually carry money. We didn't have to. We got in everywhere for free. We were on the VIP list. We never waited online. We weren't drinkers, so if we wanted a water or soda, we never paid for shit. So we really didn't have reason to carry money, a lot of money. And anyway, so we get the money to go over to Roseland. They had a big purse. I think it was like 5,000. So it was like, I think, however they broke it down, you know, 2 or 3 for first place, whatever. So we were like, yo, let's go. Whenever we wanted money, we'd go to a contest and win. We did. I swear to you. So
you were all dressed perfectly professional. Was your manager always with you guys, or you guys would do
we were
stuff?
out. We were out for the night. He was with us when we did gigs. Yeah, he was with us when we did gigs. Absolutely. So we go over, and I go to put our name down on the list for the contest. And there was a nice amount, and I start to see 2 or 3 B-girl names, or I don't know if it was just girls' names, like Rosie, Melinda, and whoever, and then there was like a name of a group. I couldn't tell you what it was. And I was like, oh, wow, there's females entering the contest. I was happy. Okay. So now I says, oh, wait, I told the girls, and something about with the song. I had to go back and change the song or whatever it was. And then I see crosses off the list, the names. And I said,
Of your crew?
no, not my name, the others. And I said
the
to the
others.
guy, what happened? I thought you said the contest didn't start yet, because it made it look like they went already. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, nah, they dropped out. So once they heard
forfeited.
we were in the contest, they dropped out.
Wow.
And I was
So they
like-
already knew what was coming.
Yeah,
they didn't
but
want
you
to
know
be
what?
embarrassed.
I was like, you know what? All right, for the females at least, maybe we had a bad day. Maybe they would have liked, all right, our skills were, not everybody goes for that. Some people like somebody's person. You should never give up.
So how did it make you feel at that moment, seeing that?
It
that
bothered
you guys...
me. It bothered me. It bothered me. It bothered me. It did. To be honest with you.
Unpack that it bothered you, because it's important, because we have a lot of B-girls that watch this show, and I know some probably beginning, and some want to enter a competition, and they see big names like Dynamic Dolls back then,
right,
and they feel some type of way. Like, unpack that and talk to me about the feeling, the fact that you guys were, you guys couldn't be messed with. So even though you were messed with, you still wanted other B-girls to participate. So talk to me the feeling. What was the feeling like?
Well, I just felt like it made me feel bad, first of all, because I feel that you should never, ever give up, because you don't never know. Okay? Anything could have happened. Okay? Because I went through that myself. When I first taught myself the pop, and I told you, I made fun of myself. I mean, because my moves were limited, primitive. I was just teaching myself. I didn't have nobody showing me. I was figuring out on my own. And I went down to Coney with my girl, and they used to have by the Himalaya that had a DJ and would jam. So there was always jamming going on, parties, dancing out in front of the Himalaya. That was the place to be. So I went with my girl, and there was these dudes that were popping. These dark-skinned dudes were popping, and they had, I don't remember the names, they had a shirt on with something. I can't tell you what it was. It wasn't Furious Rockers. It wasn't Break to Dawn. It wasn't any of those. It was someone I didn't never heard of. And so I'm like, oh, cool, a circle. And they're popping. And so I wanted to play. So I got in the circle. And like I said, my skills were at the time. Well, the dude came at me like, pow! And he was just started like really challenging me, like violently. Like he was like his life depended on beating the shit out of me with popping. And I didn't like that. I was like, whatever. So at the end of the summer, I got really good, really fast. End of the summer, we just happened to be going one day, Coney Island. We're just going. I didn't even have no thoughts. Here's these guys again. So I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. I said, go and ask the guy to play Buffalo Gals.
Ooh.
Right? Because that was my song. A lot of time that I wanted to get down with that. So she goes up to the DJ to ask to play Buffalo Gals. So now I'm standing like maybe one layer back from the circle. The guy spots me. He's telling this dude, they're already starting to laugh. So he gets in the circle, he's doing a little thing, and he comes up to me. And he's like, again, in my face, and he calls me out. So now there is a big crowd there, okay? So I go in, and this is funny because I purposely made myself worse than I was because I had a plan. Okay. See, I like to play for keeps. Okay. So I get in the circle and I'm like really like a doofy. I'm like doing really big, my waves. I'm doing like this, like real. And the crowd is laughing. They are hysterical laughing at me. So I step back out and the guy gets in the middle and he's doing his move and he's going off. And I'm looking up and my girlfriend's like, I'm waiting for the song to come on. Okay, so I step back in and I do the same shit I just did again. Now they're going, white girl, go home. They're booing me. Now it went from laughs to like they're annoyed. They don't want me there, you know? So I'm like, I step out. He goes in and he's repeating his steps. So I'm like, that's all this guy got. So I look up at her one more time and I'm like, I can't wait. I cannot go back in that circle again and they're going to kill me. So like a friggin', I know I said this before, but there are moments in life that are like a movie. I step in the circle and I hear that, and I just start going. This guy, if you see the cartoons where the jaw hits the floor, all three of them just jaw hit the floor. I mean, I used to do this one move where I would hit and I would go with my leg, and it's in my book. My head would go between my legs, and then I'd be on the floor, and I'd do forward, backward worm, and then come back up and continue my popping routine. Just to show like flexibility and strength, because my worms were that's one thing, I was very fluid. Like there's a move you see a lot of B-boys doing. I got to be careful because of my neck, but they would do like this, you know? I would take it so low, like when I would go down and do that move, and my head would go all the way down, and my whole body would follow. I can't do it now. But so when you saw me, you really never saw nobody do it like I did it. And my side glides, a lot of people do them very choppy. My side glides were long, like a glide should be.
Like you're on roller skates.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Thank you. Not the short little choppy ones. And the 360 move. Now, of course, I can't do it because I'm all twisted this way. But you practice at this, where you would do this move and then turn around the whole way. I had that move where my head would stay this way. So it looked like my body almost turned all the way around.
It's almost like The Exorcist, right?
Like when Mr. Wave, when Mr. Wave does a 360.
Yes.
But he does his whole body. My head would just stay there because I had such flexibility, and I would practice. I would work very hard on those moves. So when I would do them, they were like, you never really saw somebody do it that way, and they were impressive. So
those dudes, when you battled them, what happened at that moment? Their jaws dropped. And what about the crowd that hated you?
The crowd screamed. Are you kidding me? They went wild.
So you won the crowd at that moment. Now everybody's loving you.
Yeah. I took a chance there. That's why I said I couldn't go in a third time. They would have found me floating in the freaking ocean over there. They were ready to throw me out.
Now talk to me about this right here.
Oh, God.
Try to break down whatever you see, whatever comes to your mind.
Okay. Just historic. You got so many talents all in one spot. Okay, this dude here, Frankie Vega, was Susie Q's brother, the one I used with Dynamic Dolls.
So talk from left to right. Let's start from
left to on the right, the guy in the Rockwell hat and the sunglasses, the light-skinned dude, that's Frankie Vega. Okay, he's Susie Q's older brother. He was a papa with his friend on the other side. Which one? I thought Mousy was up there, but they were in Rockwell. And it was the Puerto Rican Day Parade that day, and they needed more people to perform. So we said, okay, we'll be down with Rockwell for the day. That's why I'm wearing, most of us have like a Rockwell shirt on, even though you had the Dynamic Dolls on top. Then you have Waving Legs on top in the back left. And then right next to him is Spinner from the Dynamic Rockers. And you had Fast Break, which you see his hat. He's next to Frankie Vega. And you had Kid Freeze is right under. And then you have Float, rest in peace, was beautiful. And,
Yeah.
it was just,
And you're all the way in the top
yes, I'm in the top on the right between the two dudes with the red and blue shirt. One is the red and
I see
white,
that.
and then
I see that. Is that Susie on the other side?
the other side, actually, Susie, I don't know where Susie was at this moment. That's Susie's little sister,
Okay.
Samantha, who also became a B-girl later. She was like a baby dynamic doll. So out of 4 kids, 3 of them were in hip hop, in breaking and popping. The other one, David, he was only 5 at the time. So out of 4 siblings, 3 of them were dancers.
Flo is the only one that's no longer with us in this picture.
We lost one of the guys named Mousy. He passed away, but basically, I don't remember everybody's name. I know their faces, the rest of the people. But yeah, we went to the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and they had a big stage, and we all performed. And boy, I wish I would have had a video of that.
What year was that? If you couldn't remember it, I know it's a long time ago, but
it's either 82 or 83. I don't.
So remember. Now, around that time, like, cause I know you shared a lot of pictures, like this one right here. It looks like it's from a movie or something.
It is Beach Street.
Oh, so this is for Beach Street. So you came out in a lot of parts in Beach Street?
No, I was only there the first day. The scene this is 5 minutes and like 23 seconds in, where they go into the jam in the building.
Yes.
It's only 5 minutes into the film. Well, we were sitting on me, Peaches, Josie, some other people, these 2 women who were walking in with me, who they could get away with a crime. You couldn't recognize who they were. I made sure you could see who I was. I wasn't wearing no.
You're like, I'm going to turn.
I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose because we filmed that like 40 freaking times. Not because of us, but the cable they were throwing out of the window in the movie to get the power for the party, with the guys coming around and they were saying their lines, it was throwing out too late. Remember, none of us made a friggin' movie before. So cut, do it again, and we would have to run back, and we were freezing our asses off.
How long was the shoot for?
13 and a half hours.
And you didn't sleep the night before, I bet. So excited to do it. Right?
No, my girls didn't even show up. All right, so there's another picture of me I put in my book. I didn't even see me. I don't want to say a fan because it became a friend. This guy Manu in the Netherlands, he's like, I was watching Beach Street, and look what I peeped. And there's a picture of me. The doors open to the jam. They're coming up the stairs, and you see the pink octopus on the wall. They had graffitied. Mm-hmm. And right there, you see my shirt, black, red, and white, and I'm up against the wall. Because right after that, we started the dance party scene, and they called cut for the day. If we would have finished that dance scene, you would have seen me dancing in the film. But we had already gone for 13 and a half hours, and I had to, that's it. They cut for the day, and I never went back. Stupid me.
Wow. And what about this? Because I love with the name in the middle and everyone in the bottom and the top. I'll break down from the top.
This is the Kennedy Center honors we did with New York City Breakers and some of Mag Force and, like we were saying before. And we were waiting to have our makeup done. This is the night of the performance. So I had seen Gene Kelly watching us practice the day before in the theater. And I spoke to him because I've been watching him my whole life, So
How was that feeling?
I was like, what happened was I was choreographing what was going to happen after we had went to the front of the stage. As the choreographer, you're supposed to be center stage. Plus, I performed. And we got a standing ovation. The only one who got a standing ovation besides us was Anthony Quinn when he did the dance from Zorba the Greek. And you had Sinatra, we were the only ones. So anyway, I said, listen, instead of us just, clapping, taking our bows, and then walking backstage, let's go off stage and dance up the aisles, and we'll leave through the back. Oh. So I got off the stage and I said, when we get about here, because we don't want to be involved if they're going to change camera angles and continue with what's going on stage. We don't want to get in the way. So I was showing them how far up to go if you're going to stop and dance with some of the movie stars, the peoples. So as I'm coming up the aisle, I see somebody sitting. It's friggin' Gene Kelly. And I'm like, I just passed him. And I was like, oh my God, that's Gene Kelly. I don't ask nobody for the, I was on Regis twice. I hung out. I don't ask nobody for their autograph. And I never bother. You know, I'm not starstruck, but this is Gene Kelly. So I'm like, in my head, I'm headed back to the stage, and I'm still talking to all the dancers on the stage about direction. And I'm like, Kim, this may be your only opportunity. Are you going to say something? You're not going to say something? I didn't know what I was going to do until I got up to the aisle he was sitting in. And I said, excuse me, Mr. Kelly. And he looked at me and I said, I just want to say thank you. You inspire me. And you know what he said? He goes, you inspire me. He was like,
wow.
And I was like, oh my God, Gene Kelly said, in my head. I'm like, oh, thank you, Mr. Kelly, you know, being all cool about it. Oh my God, it was the happiest. And then the next night in that picture, he was waiting for his makeup people. So we're sitting there talking for almost an hour. And then Fable came over and said, excuse me, can we take a picture? And he goes, oh, you have to ask Kim. And I said, oh, no, we're all together. So took a bunch of pictures. And then he was giving out autographs. And he goes, well, don't you want my autograph? He says to me, when am I going to say no? So that's how I got the picture. And then Carol Burnett was just a doll. So I think Brenda K. Starr asked her if she would take a picture with us. And she was just so sweet. She started getting her, I knew she would, and I told her, I remember standing outside her building. And I told her, because I've always been a fan of her voice, always. When we did the Kennedy Center Honors, we had a suite. So our bathroom was huge. So the acoustics in the bathroom, you know. And I asked Brenda to sing the Star Spangled Banner. And Jesus, my God.
Goosebumps immediately.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Let me tell you something. I cry all the time. My husband and I went, we were supposed to meet her and her husband in Orlando for dinner when she did a show out there for that tragedy in that nightclub where they all got killed.
Yeah, the Pulse nightclub.
Yeah, well, I forgot what it was called, but so we had gone out there and my husband's like, what's the matter? Because I was like, her voice just gets better and better. Now, I just put up on my Facebook page last week or so, she was out to dinner with her family and they had some karaoke. And a song I love is At Last by Etta James. Very rare for an artist to take an original, classic, well-loved by an amazing artist.
Yes.
And do it better. And in my opinion, even though she's at a restaurant, she's not in a studio, she doesn't have any equipment. Just her, the mic, and oh my God, brings tears to my. She's like my sister.
Till this day.
My God, yeah, this was, oh my God. And I'm like, Brenda, you have to cover this song. Please, you have to cover this song. So I think she's got plans to do that.
Okay.
Even before I said it. I'm not saying I made her do it. No. Told me that she had thought about, oh my God.
Amazing. And what about this right here? Talk to me about this, because these pictures look so dope. Like, it's so natural. Like, it looks like you guys having so much fun. And were you guys planning to take pictures, or it's just once in a blue somebody pops
I have my little pink disc camera I used to take with me. The one of Norm Ski was actually, again, at the Kennedy Center Honors in 1983. You know, I had a bunch of pictures. I have some of, like, people, like, we lost Glide Master, Matthew. I have pictures of him. Some of the New York City Breakers and the Dolls. I got to go through those negatives and see the pictures that I lost, but I might still have, the negatives. I got to see.
So for those that don't know this picture, like, who's on here? Start with the red jacket on the left. The big.
That's Norm Ski.
Yes.
From Rocksteady. You saw him in Flashdance. He was the little kid that was popping.
Mhm.
He had the white hat with the black letters
Yep.
from Rocksteady. That's Norm Ski. He also performed. He came on right before the Dolls did, even though all of our dance sequences were cut from the televised version of the Kenny Center Honest. Isn't that funny? Only the females were all cut. But anyway, that's him there. This picture is our tour bus waiting for us in Manhattan. And we were with some of the new Mag Force. You had this guy Shalimar, the guy all the way on my right with the black tiger stripe, red handkerchief around his waist.
Yes.
That's my girl. Next to him, JC, one of the Dynamic Dolls. Next to him was Mighty Whitey. He was a white boy. Him and Joe Flash were partners. Right next to him, the guy in the middle. Okay, we used to call him Richie Cunningham because he was the nicest guy. You remind me of Richie Cunningham. Me and Dynamic Breakers, we used to name everybody. We had names for everybody. He was a phenomenal papa. He was in the Bad video with Michael Jackson. He was in what's the other one? This guy was a phenomenal dancer. He does the shoulder when you pop and you use your shoulder blades in Bad.
Yes.
That's him. Then you had the other guys were from Uptown Express. You might have been too young to remember this guy here. They were from.
Is that the one with the hat? Who's the one with the hat? It looks like a military hat.
Yeah, he was
He's
another
shaking.
guy from Magnificent Force.
And the top one smiling, the black guy.
They were with, like I said, Uptown Express hit it big on Star Search. And they were a popping team. They started with the top hat and the cane and the white gloves. And then they were also in this second breakdance contest at the Roxy because they came on the Fresh Fest tour. They used to do their little bit. So that was all.
Now the Fresh Fest tour, you were all over the entire tour?
I was only there. There was the only female on the whole tour.
Wow.
Because Flip from Dynamic Breakers, he was the one who used to pick up the guys and then spin the other guy, and he broke his foot. And there was nobody else to replace him except me. I knew all the choreography. I was able to do the moves.
So you got the call randomly and you're like, I'm ready.
Well, then my crew. I didn't need to get a call. My manager's like, yo, you're going to have to fill in for Flip. He broke his foot. You got a contract. You got to go on tour. You got to do what you got to do.
And how was that tour? How long was it?
I know they did it again in 85, but I got the girls to go on that tour when it was close to New York just to get the to be seen out. I wanted them to be seen by, you're in stadiums with 50,000 people. I wanted the exposure for the Dolls. So then I wound up doing 4 shows a day instead of 2.
Wow.
So now I had to
4
go
shows a day?
And 10 minutes of straight dancing, because Dynamic, we never just stood in the back. We always had little routines we would do in the background, never to take away from whatever was going, because we'd have, a trio go out, and then who had a solo, and then you come out with a duet, and everything was always moving, okay? And I had to get off stage, change real quick, and then come back out and do a whole other thing with the Dolls.
So that's how it was working. So you were doing like 2 jobs in 1 job.
Yep.
And
but
now, go ahead.
I'll tell you what I loved on that tour while I was there. Because, then Flip healed and came back, and I got the boot. And the very next weekend, they filmed the video. The Freaks Come Out at Night.
Yep.
And now you're going to see Dynamic Breakers, Mac Force, Jermaine Dupri, everybody's in that video. I was like, damn, I should have broke his other ankle. I could have stayed on the tour.
Now, around that time, you felt like as a woman, you had to push a lot of barriers and obstacles because they will give you the boot all the time because you were a female? Or you felt that that's just people talk like that and it wasn't really like that? Like if you had the skills, you have the skills. Or there was no discrimination against women because, it's only men. This is a man thing. Like, or how was it for you?
I've always been, if you could do it, I could do it. I was that female that always got picked first for baseball. I was always on the floor. My mother had to start, but I don't know, you're a little younger than I am, but back in the day, they had boys sneakers and women's sneakers. I mean, they do now, but they were made totally different. My mother started having to buy me boys sneakers because I would tear up. Those girl sneakers didn't last me, forget it. I tore the shreds out because I was like sports and skateboarding, and I just always was like that. So if they can do it, I could do it. It was a great move. Come on.
Now, were you ever into martial arts?
No, I thought I was. I could fake it real good, man. I throw some side kicks. I kicked a girl across a freaking dance floor, and my shoe was doing this. Look, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Because my heel kick, I did a side kick. I planted, and I did it in heels. And I kicked this girl, and she did one of these. Whew, and flew across the club.
And your heels flew out?
Huh?
Your heels flew out.
No, my shoe came off and flew over the dance floor. Some guy brought it back, and he's like, "Oh, Cinderella, who's this?"
That's amazing.
So anyway, I was good with the chucks. We all had nunchucks.
Oh, because it was very popular. What Bruce
we
Lee's
all
in the
had
scene, all the martial art movies.
Yeah.
People would dress up as kung fu masters to go to the clubs.
Was all into that, you know. Definitely.
And what about this picture right here? Talk to me about that right here.
That's funny because I did everyone's makeup and I came out the worst in that picture. This is just we took many, many headshots, you know, because you have to have them, you know. It's a business. If you notice, there's our manager, Larita Rock. Her son is Time Rock from Last Dragon.
Oh, I didn't even know. That's right. Fast Feet mentioned
that. You had Fast Feet. That's right.
That's right. Fast Feet told me about that.
I remember when Time Rock got the audition, he came to see us at the Roxy, and he was so excited. And then when he got the part, you know, yeah. So she's our man. She was our manager and Cord, and you see Breakdance International. But it's funny. Look at Dynamic Breakers, Dynamic Dolls.
Yeah.
My manager was, listen, we had Imperial Toys. Okay, they were one of our other sponsors. So you saw the stickers. They were like the puffy stickers. Mm-hmm. They used to have several packs of the dolls and different ones of the guys. And do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So they made sweatbands and headbands and what else?
And that was stuff. Like your merchandise to sell or not?
Right. They used to sell them in the stores, wherever toys are sold. You know,
it's
like
probably on eBay somewhere. I know somebody collected a bunch of them and selling them on the low.
This is the one that I had left, and I have it in my photo album. So you see on the label that they used to sell it, and then these were all I always do it the wrong way. These were some of the stickers.
So wait, what is this? This is a book or something?
Oh, this is just a book I used to have in my house, coffee table book.
Oh, okay, but is that published? Because I love collecting all that stuff.
No, it's just something in my house. Because like I did before I made my book. See, so I got this is the Beauty Center Honors.
I gotta see that book face to face. I love watching.
Yeah, and this is when we did the Muppet Magazine, and we did the Centerfold Muppet Magazine.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I got a whole bunch of pictures in here. The dolls.
You got all that memorabilia.
The fun house. My solo at the Fresh. This is just like one from my house, like I said, And
it's still you tell the stories watching all that.
Yeah. So anyway.
And what about this right here? Boom.
Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. This is Susie Q was the up rock queen. This girl loved, look at the look on her face. She loved.
And she's the one in white, right?
Rock. That's Susie Q. I'm pointing.
Wow, she got like black shoes on?
Oh yeah, we used to wear leather. Yeah, we used to wear all different, but we weren't performing. What happened was, this is in Italy, okay? We went 1983, and then right again, February 84. They asked us to come back. So we figured nobody's going to know who the hell we are. We're from Brooklyn. Remember, no internet, there's nothing. So I says, let's go take flyers from the show. We'll take our boombox from JVC or Panasonic, whoever sent it to us. We even have one that had you could play the record. A record player came out.
Oh,
that was
wow.
a bad one. Yeah. So I says, we'll go and we'll do some, moves and pass them out so people will know to come see the show. Because who the hell is going to know us from Brooklyn in Italy? Well, little did we know. So I get to this little park on the corner. Excuse me, my allergies are terrible here. We get to this park on the corner, and we put the boombox on, and we start doing. The next thing I know, the crowds around us, and those military guys with the ammunition across the. And I'm like, oh shit, we're going to jail.
Look at that.
Look at you see the guy.
That's a big crowd. How long did it take that crowd to get filled
blocks, up? They had, why there's a circle? They had a paddy wagon that pushed the people away so we could get out. There were people hanging off balconies. There were blocks and blocks and blocks of people that had to come and get us out. I thought we were getting arrested. They were coming to get us out of there.
And then did you perform? Or you threw down there?
I said, can we stop every, I told the translator, ask if we can stop every couple of blocks, just do a little something for the people. And everybody has a little veranda or a balcony or, so it was like real culture shock. So then we get in our tour bus. They had a little tour bus for us to take us around. And all of a sudden we're surrounded by everybody got a moped out there.
Yep.
So they're chasing us to the hotel. It was like crazy. We did not expect that. And I was like, damn, man, my mother's going to hear about this. Bad enough I get arrested back in New York. I got to come to Italy, and now she's going to hear I'm in jail in Italy.
How long was that tour out there?
God, I don't know. I don't remember.
So now, and I remember earlier you said that you didn't even have time to do your laundry.
Well, that was on the Fresh Fest tour, and then when we went to do that tour with the Swift Kids, I came back. I had water on the knee so bad, I really couldn't do the last performance. They said that I better do it because we have a contract. My leg was so swollen. The next morning, I got to be on set and do the Beat Street Strut.
Oh, wow.
All day performing. Now, you don't know, but I know why they cut out all Susie's floats and our hang glides. You don't have say back then on what they put in the video.
I believe it's a politics of whoever.
I don't think they
the
knew.
Scene.
No, the people who were editing, because look, there were moves you did for a performance that you would never use in a battle, but they're crowd pleasers.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? Okay. So that's how these people editing are looking at it. They don't know, let's just say somebody was doing, a halo, let's just say. And then somebody does, a roundhouse into a backflip. They find that exciting. Am I boring you?
No. No. It's interesting because the thing is I have to look down.
Oh.
You have to look down.
Okay,
if I look here, that's the camera. The camera's up here. Yeah, so you were saying no. I'm saying me, when I'm looking at you, you're here. You're here.
Anyway, I was messing with you. So anyway,
so you were saying that the editors are basically not B-boys and B-girls. They pick whatever they want.
They could put whatever they want, right? So anyway, when I'm spinning Susie in the Beat Street Strut video, if you watch, my right leg keeps bending because I could spin her on a ramp. It didn't matter where we were. My knee kept giving out.
Ooh.
Because remember, you're doing it over and over. If somebody didn't do something right, cut, got to do it again. And
well, you said water in your knees.
The next morning, I wound up in the hospital. My leg, we used to call him Little Shake, God rest his soul. I stayed at his house in Queens, and I, slept on the pull-out downstairs. And Mom, I still call her Mom to this day. His mom come down, and she's like, "Oh, you want to?" And I'm like, "Ma, I don't feel good. Something's wrong," because I never got sick. And I went. She goes, "Come inside. You want some tea or something?" And my leg locked. And I didn't know. My mom had to take me, and they said I had one of the worst case of water on the knee he ever saw. Carpenters, football players, because I've been dancing for so long. I had the tour for 6 weeks. Couldn't fit a friggin' knee pad over it.
And how old are you? How old are you there?
I guess I had to be 17, 18.
Wow. And you're spinning all these guys on your heads. I imagine then you have the two
worst
girls.
was I always say I picked up Buffy from the Fat Boys and spun him around.
What?
Not on my head, but I picked him up in the air and
like when their legs are straight and you're pulling them around.
I had gotten off. Okay, so a lot of times we were talking before. I had more from the females. They'd be like, I was the only female on the Swatch Watch tour, Fresh Fest, right? So, in a stadium, when you come and then the seating, we had our own stage. The dancers stage was smack down in the middle of the stadium, and the rappers all had the stage over there. So I was waiting to go on, and I watched the show sometimes, and they would always be like, who's this white girl? What's she want? What's she going to do? And, start snapping on me and everything. So after the performance, when we come down and I see the girls like, and I was just so happy because I was like, now they're cheering for me. I had that happen so many times. And I just got like pumped up, like, yeah, I did. Pride goeth before a fall. And there was Charles Stetler, who was their manager. And I don't know, Buffy, I was like, all right. And I couldn't fit my arms around his belly, so I had to go under his belly. And I picked him up, and and all I remember was him going, screaming.
Hey, you're spinning and me going crazy.
And, my brother-in-law, who knows I'm strong, he even asked them. He ran into them at like Cadillac or Lincoln, and he's like, my sister-in-law, the big Kim A Kazi, and they're like, "Oh yeah," and he goes, "Did she pick one of you up?" "Yeah, she picked Buffy up. I mean, even he didn't believe I could.
Who was the one that passed away?
Buffy. Well, and now we just lost Prince Monkey D. And Kool Rock Ski. Yeah.
When?
No, I'm so bad with time. See, I have fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia.
So there's only one left.
Yeah, Kool
right?
Rock Ski. Hey, Cool.
Well, let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. I guess it's cool. I was on Facebook one day and I posted something, and out of nowhere, I forgot his real name, but someone started commenting about, this is not real hip hop and all this stuff. And then I see a bunch of my friends start writing, "What are you talking about? You don't know anything." And they're going back and forth arguing. And then one of my boys messages me on the side and he goes, "You know who you arguing with?" And I'm like, "Who?" He's like, "You're arguing with one of the Fat Boys." And I was like, "What? That's one of the Fat Boys?" So I went to his page and I'm looking it up and I'm like, "What the hell?" So I hit him up and I'm like, "Hey man, much respect. I didn't know it was you, but listen, I don't know if you've been around the scene now." And he literally told me, "I haven't been around. I don't know what's going on with the hip hop world." So he wasn't up to date of the culture.
Was he light skin or dark skin? Do you know?
Dark skin.
Then that's Kool Rock Ski. That's Kool Rock Ski.
That's crazy.
Buffy was the beatbox dude.
Yeah, it was literally like a month ago. It was a month ago that this happened.
Kool Rock Ski. Yeah, no, because Prince Monkey D, I think, passed like a year or so ago. I'm very bad with time. I lost that ability.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So now what talk to me about this right here, which I love this here, like just how all these pictures are breaking down.
Okay, so the top, I still have that belt in those pants, by the way.
Is that you throwing down windmills? About to go into windmills?
Me, yeah, doing a solo. Remember I told you, yeah, that I was breaking, and over there is where I used to do that pop and move. Now I put my hands there, but I never touched the floor because one time I went too fast and I smashed my cheek in the floor. But I used to do a popping move and then wind up in that almost like a
bridge.
Like a bridge, but I'm not touching the floor yet. You can see my hands, and I would roll on my chest and then go into backwards.
Like that rollback. It's like in gymnastics.
Then I go into backwards worms, then forwards worms, and then I come up the same way you see me. I come up straight and then continue my popping routine. Right under that was a very early picture of me doing tuts during a popping solo with dynamic breakers. And then you have me doing the 3 women with the girls.
Yes.
I had to do it different with the girls and the guys because poor Susie, she couldn't hold JC when she let go. So she had to hang on my waist.
All that weight behind and forward.
The middle picture is one of the funniest because during the Swatch Watch, and I would spin Kano on my head or airborne, but it's usually Kano. Now I'm 124 pounds, okay, muscle, but 124 pounds nonetheless. And we went to the restaurant, and a lot of the people in the restaurant had just come from watching the Swatch Watch tour. So they take a look at, me, and they're like, yo, you didn't pick up them dudes. They had wires, and that's phony, and there's no way you did that. So JC turns around and go, you don't know nothing with her Bronx. She's like, her Puerto Rican Bronx accent. She go, yo, she'll do this shit right here. And I'm like, JC, we just ate. I don't want them on my head. Come on. And they're like, yeah, let's see it. So my manager snapped that picture as I had to spin Kano on my head in the restaurant.
Just to prove that there was no strings or wires.
They didn't believe it. So, yes. I mean, people were kind of amazed at it. And then the last photo was taken at the Roxy during the finals of the big breakdance contest. If you notice, the girls are all in their outfits. I told them which one to wear. We were disqualified, even though we had the highest score, and 2 of the judges were managers of other crews.
Do you know what crews?
Yeah, Rocksteady and Furious Rockers.
Say no more.
Okay, and Susie got in a fight with Lady Blue, and they disqualified us during the final, the finals, and then you're in the finals. We would have won that shit. So
politics has been going on since way back.
Yo, you can't take me out that easy. Shit I don't like injustice for anybody else but for myself. That shit ain't happening. I run the Roxy's. The owners of the Roxy wanted to manage us, but we were in contract. I used to use the Roxy for everything. When they asked us to do the Hey DJ video, they said, can you help us find other dancers? So I was like, yeah, we held auditions. That's when I met my ex from the Furious Rockers. Long other story. But anyway, and Furious Rockers manager wound up in that video. So she was one of those Michael Holmans where they were managers with an agenda. Like my manager, he stayed in the background. He never got in front of the camera and spoke over us. He never did any of that. He stayed in the background. So anyway, she cost me the Mountain Dew commercial because they picked me and Spider. And as a kid from Brooklyn, especially, poor kid, it was my dream to go to Hawaii. And she fucked that shit up for me. Man, that lady hid from me for over a year because I was,
Do you ever run into her?
Yeah, I run into her with my fist. I loved her. No, she hid from me. I seen her up in the VIP room like a year later at the Roxy. And by the time I ran up this way, her and her husband ran out that way.
She knew what she did. She knew what she did.
So anyway, I'm like, I am not. You ain't doing that shit to me. So what I did was had the girls get dressed. I talked to the DJ at the time, this guy Richie, and I'm like, yo, Richie, will you do this for us? I told him what happened. He's like, yo, I don't give a shit. I'll play whatever. So I think we picked Dominatrix. We were going to dance. You remember? It's like,
Dominatrix tonight.
We danced to that a lot. So anyway, I wanted to make a statement. I wanted people to say, why aren't these girls in the contest? Okay. So anyway, Charles Stetler comes over to say hi, and he starts talking, and and I told him what happened. I says, nah, we're doing it, and we'll dance if they let us do the whole performance. If they drag us off stage, but we're going. He's like, no, Kim, I don't want you to get in trouble. What if they call the cops? Okay, so
call the cops for dancing.
I've been there before. I was thrown out, because we're jumping in. So anyway, he says, what? Well, wait, let's see. I said, Charles, he goes, let me see what I could do. I said, I appreciate that. I don't want you to get involved. I don't want you to say you knew about this. Because if it goes down that way, I don't want you, get in trouble. Because we're going. We are going up there. Nothing's going to stop us. So he comes back and he says, oh, they're going to let you can't be in the contest. But they're going to let you go up after Alfonso Rivero. He was still doing the Tap Dance Kid on Broadway.
Yes.
So he was doing he wasn't, he was part of the show, but not the contest. So he was coming there to, promote himself and perform. So he goes, once he goes up, then you guys could go up. So we did. And we got a lot of work from that one. And that was in, I think, Glamour, because we also did Ebony. We did like all the magazines, but I think that was in Glamour magazine. They put that photo that you see of the dolls. So
look at that, and
we
this
got a
right
lot
here.
of work from there.
Look at that.
Yep.
What's that right there?
The Dynamic Breakers used to give breakdancing lessons at the Red Parrot. There it is.
1984, February 4.
February 1984.
7 p.m. What does it say?
It says every Saturday beginning February 4th, 1984, doors open 1 p.m., lessons from 2 to 4, because, you got to stretch and warm up and all that stuff. Admission, $12. Tickets available at Ticketron outlets or at the door the day of the event, Red Parrot, Manhattan.
So now
that wasn't no little Ticketron. This was not a little, like, I have the paperwork, and I wish I could remember which group won, but I knew it was a group I liked, old R&B group. For one of the big auction houses, they auditioned breakdance lessons.
Okay,
so
that was a normal thing.
Huh?
That they were doing that a lot, or was it once in a blue?
Just us that I knew of. I don't know anybody else, but this was at one of the big auction houses in New York. I still have the letterhead for thanking us, but I wish I could remember which group, because it was a group I really liked. It wasn't like Rose Royce or I remember there was a female and some males, but like I said, I did so much in such a short. I can't remember everything, and I don't got my girls with me.
Actually, and now they're both alive still. They're still alive. Susie Q and
Susie Q is in Virginia, but she's involved in like church and everything, and whatever she does, she's not involved in this. And JC was in the Bronx, but I think she just came out here in Florida now. And
okay,
I can't tell you why. I've asked her. I don't know.
Interesting. And what about that? Those
that's got messed up. That's me, Brenda K. Starsey, my little Adidas suit, and Susie Q. And our hotel room at the 1983 Kennedy Center Honors.
Now, will you say that Brenda K. Star was Dynamic Doll or no?
Yeah, she was.
So she was full on. Did she become Brenda K. Star before Dynamic Dolls, or was she?
No, she became Brenda Star when she was with Dynamic, and I kept telling her, you can't use that name. There is a comic strip, Brenda Star. You're gonna get sued. Man, who's gonna pay? When we came out with the Muppet magazine, she has Brenda Star, and she got a cease and desist or whatever letter to stop using that name, and that's when she turned it to Brenda K. Star with 2 R's. K was her last name. You know, her dad was down with the Spiral Staircase. Their big hit was "I Love You More Today Than Yesterday."
I did not know that.
Yeah. He was
So she
keyboard
so she
player.
comes from a musical family.
Yes, she does.
Oh, so that's where she got that amazing voice.
Oh, amazing voice. Amazing voice.
Now is she still performing? Is she still doing like events
Are
and
you
everywhere?
kidding me? Oh my God. She's the hardest working woman in show business. This lady raised 5 beautiful, amazing, successful children. She has forget it. She's amazing.
And where's she at now?
And she draws in huge crowds. Huge. You book Brenda K. Starr, you know you're going to have a busy night.
Now is she? Where's she at now? What state?
She's in Jersey.
Also, she's in Jersey. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And what about this right here? Talk to me about that.
That was the night of the very first finals of the breakdance contest that the Dynamic Breakers won. That was my last performance with the Incredible Body Mechanics. I had choreographed Pop and Routine. I'm in, of course, the pink and white Adidas suit. Surprise, surprise. I was supposed to be in the middle. They were going to wear the black and white outfits. I had to wear my pink. They didn't want me in the middle because they said it looked too much like an Oreo cookie.
What?
I swear to you, why do you think I'm
a pink Oreo cookie?
Yeah,
that's different. What is it? Towards like
they said you got to switch. I said, I'm the one in the different outfit. I'm supposed to be, and then they're wearing the black and white. They made us switch.
Now, approaching the late 80s, when was it that? Because I know that from all the interviews and people that I've known, they tell me that at the late 80s, things started to die down.
Oh, yeah.
Things started like to fade away. People started getting married, kids, and moving on, getting real jobs. And when was it that you started kind of fading away besides all your injuries? Because, when we were talking earlier.
My injuries didn't really okay, there's certain things I still to this day cannot put any weight whatsoever. I can't do a push-up. I cannot put weight on this arm. If you feel it, you can feel it all torn and shredded in there. Because I was doing a video with Bon Rock, It's All Right. And in the video, I'm supposed to teach this B-Girl Smiles. She was like a nerdy girl, comes in a club and meets this dude, and he puts her in the circle, and she don't know how to break, so she falls, and fast break is in there. Everybody's laughing at her, and I take her out, and I take her glasses. She's all nerdy, and I fix her up, B-girl-like, and I teach her some top footwork and up rock. And then when it goes down to do like a 6-step or something, every time, and I had two. I had the metal brace and one wrapped around it. Every time it came to just put all my weight on this, I would fall. I had to edit it out. I cannot use this. But back then, it wasn't that bad yet. I just could no longer do windmills. I could no longer do anything that I had to put pressure on my arm. No hang glides, no floats. So anyway, what happened was Susie was married to Kano, or the Dynamic Breakers. Mm-hmm. Unbeknownst to us, she got pregnant. What are you going to do? That's the end. There was, what I even told you, what we went through to find JC.
Mm-hmm.
I was not, now it's starting to get it's on every commercial. Fred and Barney are doing moonwalks and backspins on Cocoa Pebble commercial. It's like saturated, And as a matter of fact, look, I have this, which I love only because it's so hip hop. This is a vintage shirt. I'll see if you can see this on here. I have, by the way, my original Kim A Kazi shirts. You see it all in my book, all my shirts.
Mm-hmm.
This is my Rockin' It.
What does it say? What does it say? Rockin' It old school?
Wait. I always go the wrong way. Rockin' It old school.
Oh, with a Mickey Mouse with a boombox?
Yeah, and he got a chain on. He got a M.
Yep. I see it.
On the MC.
Now, where's that shirt from?
It was just a shirt I had. I don't even remember where I bought this. It's from Disney. And my friend loved it, and I found one online, but then they wanted like $200, $300, $400 for them. And I was like, yo, I better stop wearing this as pajama top in the winter and better take care of it, because that shit might be worth even more.
Now a question, Kim.
But
Do
I
you
just
still
love
wear
it with
pink?
the boombox.
Do you still wear pink?
Occasionally.
So pink is not your color,
No,
or was that more for performing?
One of the first, no, everything was pink. One of the first pieces of jewelry, because I love jewelry, but that's not something you had growing up. Once in, a while, maybe for something special like your gold cross. When I was christened, I had a gold cross, but we were dancing, and Kano wanted to buy something for Susie Q's birthday. So he's like, yo, Kim, come with me to pick something out, right? So we're looking, and I see this big pink rock with diamonds on the side. Give me that. And I knew this dude. I went to school with his brother. They owned the place. And I was like, I to this day don't know if it's a pink diamond or a pink sapphire, but I still have it. Big rock. And I was like, I got to have this. So I only had this is like 1983. I had like $35 on me, which back then was a lot of money. But I said, here, take this. I ran back to headquarters to see if we had any money coming in. So he gave me some money. I ran back, and then I came back later in the afternoon. He's like, you're the best layaway I ever had. I had it by the end of the day. I bought that ring.
Look at that.
And I'm like, I'm walking down 34th Street. I bought myself this piece of jewelry. I'm so happy. I get to headquarters, and I'm like, okay, Susie, we got to go over this routine. Let's start with the up rock. So her and I do an up rock. We hit hands, and the prong breaks. Bing! And there goes my pink stone. So now I head back to the jewelry store. Now I'm like this. I was so upset. And then he's like, oh, it's going to take a couple of weeks. Do you know how many times that stone fell out when we were on Swatch Watch tour? I had everybody combing the grass outside our hotel because we were dancing out there, of course. And now I don't like to wear it no more, so I keep it put away.
But you found it. You keep finding it every time it flies out.
Every time.
So now, when was it that it started fading out, that you're kind of like...
85, I was done. And I was
completely.
Like, all right. Yeah.
So what made you give up? What made you not give up? Or what made you... Was it like everything started changing and you're like, it's already fading out?
Listen, do you know what I mean? I gave up the lead role in the movie Body Rock with Lorenzo Lamas. Told you that. I walked down on Beach Street. For me, it wasn't about the fame. It was the passion for dance and music. I'm sure you understand that.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Now, as an older person, I says I could have went into choreography. There weren't too many people doing it in hip hop. That's why I used to get the phone calls all the time to do that kind of work. I could have went acting. Great actress. I mean, I beat out thousands, maybe tens thousands for, I never read a script before. And got the lead role in the movie. You
were just natural at it.
Yeah. So I'm very good. Trust me. You got to see some of the people I had to pull shit over on.
Now, through the years,
I don't like lying. I'm not a liar, but sometimes, when it comes to the law, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, and plus, you're from Brooklyn, so I know Brooklyn back then. Me as a kid, I remember the 80s, I used to always hear like, oh, Brooklyn, like that's where all the Italian mafias are at, and the gangsters and the mobs. And I even had my uncle, he would drive a Cadillac. He had like a convertible Cadillac. And he used to flaunt as an Italian because he looked so Italian. He had long, good hair. He kind of looked like Al Pacino in the young days. And it's interesting that Brooklyn, even though I know every borough always got like this thing like Brooklyn is better. The BX is better. You've known that forever. You always hear, especially when baseball or sports are happening. There's always like a thing with different boroughs. So my point is, around that time in the 80s, Brooklyn, was it really as dangerous as they were talking about it? Because my parents would not even get close. Like, I was born in Harlem, raised in Washington Heights, Inwood, Uptown.
Mhm.
But for us to go to Brooklyn, that was like a mission. Like, especially as a kid,
Yeah.
I remember them saying, "You better not go to Brooklyn. You will never come back." Like,
listen, it's like anywhere, any other state, city, you have your good places, you have your bad neighborhoods, you have places you don't go at night. It's like that everywhere. And it was just no different for Brooklyn, no different for the Bronx, no different from, I used to travel all over. You had, places in Queens. The lower the poverty level usually is the more crime, and it's the way it goes. Listen, I grew up in a lot of these places, so I know. You went 2 blocks this way where I lived, you don't want to be there. And I'm serious. You wouldn't think 2-3 blocks would make a difference, but hell yeah, it did.
now even yourself, you wouldn't go there.
I went anywhere. I didn't give a shit. That's me. That's me.
Okay.
I have a story. I was coming back from Manhattan. Listen, big, bad. I'm the protector of my family. But like most of us, I got my ass beat growing up. Beat. I couldn't
Jumped by
control-
other people.
No, only in my home. Parents.
Okay.
Okay? I couldn't control what happened in my house. But I could control nobody else was going to fucking put a hand on me. Or my family, my sister, my brother. Wasn't going to happen. So I had that fucking attitude where, don't fuck with me.
Now, did you carry that character as a B girl back then? You used to use that rage and that you
I didn't
think it
have
helped you?
rage. I only get rage when you confront me. I mean, and I don't care. And people will tell you, crowds 40, I don't give a shit. Listen, if I'm going to get taken out, I'm going to be by 40. I'm going to go down fucking swinging. I don't like to be that way. I'm a grown lady, I'm a senior citizen, for Jesus Christ. But that's how I was in my neighborhood. They had color wars at my school. People got killed. You had to be a badass. You had to.
During that time when you kind of stopped dancing and all that, were you still following like the hip hop culture, or do you see it come back, flourish again in the 90s? Do you hear about it? Or
yes, because remember, my son's father was a b-boy, and his crew used to come over. I worked at night. He worked during the day. I worked at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I took care because I didn't have my son for anyone else to raise. That shit wasn't happening. Okay, so on Friday nights when I would go to work, his crew would come over. I have snacks and drinks for them, shit, and they would get down. So, through the years, everybody always kept in touch. It would float on back to you. You kept in touch with most people. You would hear about this and that. Involved? No. I was working 2 jobs and taking care of a family. I didn't sleep but an hour and a half, 2 hours a night if I was lucky. Not even at night because I used to work. I would come home. His dad would go to work. And that's it. I got to take care of my baby. If my son slept, maybe I got to take a nap. Sometimes I could sneak in after dinner, a little nap. But that's how I lived until he went to kindergarten. And I took another job during the day, 3 days a week. Working.
Wow, so you always had you always had that work ethics. Like
yeah, man.
Like hardcore working. Like, wow. Now have you attended a breakdancing event, like a b-boy jam, or in the past 10 years, or have you gone to an event, or you see things on videos?
I've done things. I've been invited. I've just had a lot of. I was in Vegas, first of all. Remember?
That's right.
And I've just been to a lot in the past few years.
But you never attended no events, just breakdancing events or any hip hop
Not
events?
recently, no. And usually there's a lot of reasons. Mostly, my husband got cancer. I was looking for a house. We just moved in. He got cancer. I spent that year trying to save his life, and he died. And I was a zombie. for like a year and a half. I'm gonna get upset. So I don't want to talk about that.
I'm sorry to hear that. Now, you heard about the Olympics, correct?
Absolutely.
And what's your opinion on breaking going to the Olympics? The fact that in the 80s you were so into it, you did the Fresh Fest tour, you did all that, all these performances, dynamic rockers or breakers and dynamic dolls. You put a name. I got that lovely book right here, which for anyone, I don't know if you want me to give the credit because I don't even know if you're getting publishing rights or whatever the
No, I
hell you
have
call
rights
that.
to it, of course. I
Okay.
publish by
So now,
myself.
now, would should I say for people to buy it or?
If they want to,
Okay.
listen, in the book is basically, I take you on the journey with me, but the way I do it, and it's funny, look, I got my earrings as my book. Check it out. Let me see if I can get it off. I'm
Wow,
overdue for my manicure, so my nails are really long. Check it out. Look, this is my earrings.
Oh snap! That is awesome.
Isn't that cool?
And I love that picture there, man. Let me see if I can.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
there you
once
go.
I was up in the air. I used to do a backflip, and then we would end the show like that.
So now, what's your opinion on breaking going to the Olympics?
I don't know because I'm not sure how they're going to do it. Is it just going to be as a sport? Are you going to go technical? Who had the better? Who did the windmill better? Who did the halo better? Who did the name? I don't know if they're going to do that or they're going to have, because if I was in charge, this is what I would do. I'd have the technical one-on-one, but then I'd also do where you can have different, so you would have like maybe duos, you would have crew against crew where you could be able to do different choreography, flavor to, bring that original style. Like, it's all about flavor. When, we used to get down, it was to the music, you would put your moves to the beat, and I don't know if they're going to have all that. I don't know what they plan on doing or how they plan on doing it, because I'll be honest with you. If it's just going to be one breaker, one B girl, one B boy against each other, move for move, that's going to be pretty boring and real quick. I would be bored real quick if they're going to do it that way.
Okay, I see what you're saying now. Will you prefer, like, do you think that it should be judged on power moves or should it just be flavor all around? Because Olympics is a sport, so
Yeah, but if you look at gymnastics. You go on the beam by yourself. You go, and you go on the floor, but you also work as a group. You know what I'm saying? There's different things. Technical, they let you be expressive when you do your floor routine. You get to pick your music. There's dancing in there. You get to show off a little individuality. That's what it's all about. When I
absolutely.
watch somebody like, there's like I love B-Boy Pocket. His his moves are crazy. I don't know if you know
Oh
B-Boy
yeah,
Pocket.
of course,
He
the
is
Korean.
holy shit.
That guy's a demon
But
flying like power.
I watched another dude I just saw from Italy. I don't know what his power moves because I only just saw him doing a lot of up rock footwork, top work, floor work. But he had that old style, if you want to call it the Bronx or however, the old style, you know how we
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
I see that. I smile. My heart smiles. You gotta have that in there. Do you know what I'm saying? You gotta
Have you seen
You
from Orlando,
gotta.
Florida, or Kissimmee, Florida? Have you seen Vicious Victor Montalvo?
Not in person, no. But
But have you seen footage of him?
oh
Because
yeah.
yeah, he's the one that's been winning every one-on-one, and he's like the pride and joy of Florida. Well, I love the kid, and I've seen him when he started, and it's so amazing that he's one of the ones chosen
Yeah.
to hopefully be part of the Olympics. And now I have a question. If you could go back to like you being a kid again,
Hmm.
let's say right before you even enter this whole scene at the fun house, what would you tell yourself? Like what with the stuff that you know now, if you could take a time machine and go back and talk to little Kim and talk to her and say, hey, what will you tell yourself back then? Because there's kids watching the show, and it's good to know that they probably could get an advice from
I'd say
someone like yourself.
Amazon, Google, no.
Like invest in that, right?
Truth be told, people ask that. They always ask shit on Facebook, and you think about it. And I said, it's kind of difficult because there's that part of me where I would change nothing except for decisions I made within my career and who I trusted, and what I should have looked into myself. Because we were kept from many. We were supposed to have our own dynamic doll Barbie dolls. Come on, man.
That's amazing.
Imperial Toys wanted to make dynamic doll Barbie dolls. And I didn't find out till later that my manager squashed the deal because he wanted the guys. And they were not looking at that right at that moment as I heard it. And he squashed the deal. When dynamic, and I love my brothers, it has nothing to do with them. I mean, this was my manager's thing. He had his hot little, Latino. He was all, he liked to watch his guys. He never wanted us to take any shine off of them. So he literally kept us from stuff like when they did the Dynamics made a record, Total Control. Mm-hmm. All right. And the girls went in and we did the little backgrounds, the aha, the ooh, that's fresh and all that stuff. I mean, Jesus, we got Brenda K. Starr right there. So on the break, we're still in the studio, they're messing with the sound, whatever they're doing over there. This is Sunshine Records. So, of course, there's me. I didn't know if there was a live mic, and I'm playing around with. Remember, we're still kids,
Yes.
And I'm doing capital K. I'm doing my little rap. The girls are doing, and Joe Webb's like, whoa, what's that? What's that? What are you doing? What is that? And I said, we're just playing. I wrote a rap for us girls. He loved it, started putting it down. We were almost 3/4 through making it, and my manager came in and threw a fit.
Wow. Why
do you work? What is this? This is about this. We'll do that later. Of course, we never did it later. But, that would have been, we would have had, it's just a lot of stuff.
So you will say, as a kid, pay more attention to your surroundings, contracts.
Right. Don't just leave it up because you trust. You know what I'm saying? You trust.
Anything else you would say?
Well, I really would have loved to become a lawyer. So that's where I'm kind of like torn between my history and what I loved. And then as I got older, I found that I have a real talent for winning arguments. And like I said to you before, I deal with facts. I don't lie. So that's one thing I'm also dealing with and hoping to change all the bullshit going on in hip hop with the lies and the fake histories that people making up. And then everybody's lying to protect this one because they think this one's going to take them to the top. And it's just, you have no right to rewrite anybody's history. How dare you? That's why I said, you ask about, there were no B-girls. No, there were no other B-girls. Bullshit. You knew who we were. You knew very well who we are. I wouldn't do that to nobody. But if you don't like somebody, you leave them out. And then your friend leaves them out because you don't like them and that's your friend. And that shit got to stop. Somebody got to start checking these people who can't.
Well, you already started. You already started. So
yeah, I did.
That's part of it. Now, what is something people seem to misunderstand about you?
I don't know. I really don't know,
But if you will think of something that you might think they might misunderstand about you, like it could be anything. It could be whatever through the years that you've known.
Listen, I would hate for people to think that I was, stuck up and snobbish. And I only come out my face about this when people do wrong by us. You know how many jobs I worked? These people had no clue who I was or what I did. None. Usually they found out at the Christmas party. when you start getting down and they're like, oh shit, you can dance. Da, 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 da. Most people had no clue. It's not like I went around tooting my horn and, with my book or pictures and, hey, look at me, t-shirts. But when I get challenged or dissed or swept under the rug, then I'll come out like that. It's hard to say how good you are without sounding like, it's very difficult to do that. And in the book, I try, and this guy who knew nothing about hip hop, he said, I think you did a great job of saying how great you were in the skills without making yourself sound like a superhero. That to me was so important. So I would hate for people to think that I'm like that, because I would help anybody. I would teach anybody. I would, help anybody get up there. I'm not looking for fame. I'm not looking to get anything. I just don't want our history swept under the rug. That's all I want.
And I love it. And I love it because one of my big sisters, Honey Rockwell, when I mentioned that I was doing the show,
Honey. She's
and she told me when I told her, hey, I'm going to interview Kim, she got so happy. She was like, yes, another B girl. That's what I'm talking about.
That's how I feel. Right. That's how I feel.
Yeah, she was so happy when I told her about that. I was on the phone with her. Every time we talk, it's like 3 hours. And in fact, she was one of the first B girls or breakers to teach me. Like,
that's wonderful.
So,
I love it.
So
She's a doll,
in my story, it could be 50 years from now. Yes, it was a B girl that taught me step.
I love it. I love it.
You see what I'm saying? And I'm
very,
very, very open about that, because I love putting females up there and taking this, whatever the thing is of girls can't do it and this and that. I've always been about pushing women out there and like you can do it. And that's why I was so excited to interview you, because your name has been, through the years of my career, I've always heard Dynamic Doll. Then it came down, like, let's say this year, your name pops up in one of the comments. And I'm like, wait a minute. Is that Kim A Kazi? Kim A Kazi? Immediately, I went to Honey and I said, honey, is this Kim A Kazi? Yeah, that's her. I got so happy. I was like, yes. And then this is the most amazing part. I meet Morris and I meet Manny in Miami. We're Incredible Josh. Incredible Josh, that's my little brother right there. Yeah. That's fam. I've known him since he was a little kid. We're down with the same crew.
Yeah.
His uncles are my uncles, you could say.
So me and you are family, because
yes. So it's crazy that then as soon as I'm talking to them in Miami, the first thing that comes out of Morris's mouth is, you need to interview Kim. And I'm like, what? Him? Yeah, Kim A Kazi. You have to. I said, hell yeah, I am. I said,
just like that.
I literally said, can you tell her? Can I interview her? Can I ask? That's why in the beginning, when I started messaging you, I was like, man, I think she doesn't want to be interviewed by me.
Oh, honey, that wasn't it. And you know what? Everything happens in its own time when it's supposed to.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to, but I wanted to make sure, this was going on. I've had so much going on. My life is like doctor, trying to fix this house, that I moved into. I'm alone, and I'm just like, sometimes it gets overwhelming. And, I live, and I'm not crying the blues, but I usually hide. That's why I said the only fraud that I perpetrate is of a sick person being being well. I always, like, people who know me know well. No, I can't. I lived in so much. You can only imagine the pain. I look normal to you, but you take all the things that you just couldn't imagine. So, a lot of times it's very difficult. What you could get done in a week might take me 2-3 weeks. Because
I'm gonna tell you something, Kim.
The more the fibromyalgia, it keeps you in check. It makes you remember every chance it gets that you have fibromyalgia. It's extremely, and I can take pain. Broken collarbone, don't go to the hospital, still picking up people. torn ligaments, torn rotator cuff, neck crushed, back twisted. I mean, and I still go. I could take some pain.
So what would be a message
But
you would send big girls out there that are going crazy? You see the big girls now. The stuff
that's
they're
just,
doing.
listen, I feel like such a proud mother, grandmother. When I see these girls, I smile. My heart smiles when I see them getting down on. I love to see it. I love it. It makes me so happy. But I tell everybody, just do it safely, okay? And don't ever throw out a move like, you know how you get overzealous in a battle or a competition, and maybe you're working on something and you want to throw it out there, but it's too soon and you could hurt yourself. I mean, the moves they're doing today, forget about it. Forget about it. You know, they're spinning on every freaking corner in the, you know, it's crazy.
Now, let me tell you something, Kim. I believe in, like you said, everything happens for a reason and there's always a time for it. I believe, Kim, right now you said you prefer to hide. I think you have a calling in the sense we're in 2023. The past is the past. Things happen. And at the same time, they happen for a reason. And I believe whether you believe in God, the universe, the gods, whatever it is, you have a purpose in this world. You're on this show. People are going to watch you all over the world. I have people from all over the world watching this. They hit me up and they tell me they love what I'm doing.
Yes.
And let me tell you something, Kim. You have a purpose. You have a voice. And I believe you still got it in you to start talking to these young girls that were at one time.
Absolutely.
There were a Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, there's a 10-year-old girl that probably her name is Kim as well, that is trying to get into this. You see what I'm saying? And they probably went through the trials and tribulations that you went through. So I believe you still got the voice. So show your face. Talk to more people. It's going to help you. It's going to help them help you, because the more you see those smiles, and when you attend an event, I promise you, it's therapy. Attend the nearest breakdance event that comes up, whether B-boy, B-girl, and whatever, show up.
I'm not hiding. I'm not hiding, and it's not like
not hiding in that way. I'm saying I know that it's things that happen in your life. But
yeah, trust me, I want to go.
You got a community that will support you, that will confide in you, that will come to you and say, hey.
I've been invited to a lot of them. Sometimes, like I said, I just couldn't make it with stuff I had going on. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, I have medical shoes on because of the neuropathy. This started May, will be 5 friggin' years. We were moving into what was supposed to be my forever home. One of the friggin' movers didn't show up. So I became the third mover. Okay. My husband was at work at this point. I'm moving furniture. I'm moving shit because they charge by the hour. And they sent me Mo and Larry, and Curly took off. So I had to get hustling. That night, I'm hurting like a mother. You can imagine. I go to take off my shoe and it's filled with blood. I got blood everywhere. I'm like, what the hell is this? I have neuropathy in my hands and feet. I can't feel. So now I got a big hole in my big toe. And I'm like, I must have stepped on a big, God knows, a piece of, what the hell did I do? I have been going through this. Now I had to move a year ago because my husband died. I had to sell that house. I couldn't afford that house. That house was crazy. So now I had to move. Who's got to move? I got to move 30 years of me and my husband's stuff. Because when he died, I couldn't start opening boxes, and it was too emotional.
Yes,
my husband and I, we used to leave notes for each other. When I used to travel, he would hide notes in my luggage. I would hide notes all around the house. We were like ridiculously in love, stupid people, like that. Happy,
and he will always be remembered. And as much as you mention him, and as much as you say what you say, he's gonna be there forever. But I'm gonna tell you something, Kim. This community is so beautiful because it's no longer a little community. It's global now. So once you get involved in the community,
is now when I moved here, they wanted to amputate my toes.
Oh, hell
Maybe
no.
3. I was like, hell no. Could you imagine?
Oh, no. I
Okay,
don't want to
I
imagine.
wasn't having it. So I made them do more tests, and thank God. But I'm healing from this. I'm not supposed to be on my feet at all. Well, somebody's got to get this house together and packed. So I've been cheating. But see, I was on doctor ordered bed rest. I had the people come in here to change the bandages on my feet. That's how bad it was. They did not want me standing at all. So I couldn't travel.
I think that's the Italian toughness of you because it reminds me so much of my brother-in-law, man. He's so stubborn, and that's that Italian that
We
comes
are.
up.
We
He
are.
got a messed up knee. We walked in Disney. I took him to Disney. This man was with that one leg like this, and I'm like, brother, take care of it. Do something about it.
I take
And
care of it, but when you got listen, when
again,
you gotta
Kim,
make something happen. I got somebody. This dude who bought my house. He wanted me out by 9 o'clock in the morning. What time do you think the friggin' movers are showing up? 3 o'clock in the morning? This dude was like, forget it. I was under so much pressure. You got it. That's me. I get shit done. When it comes down to it, and you got to get it done, I get it done. And
but Kim,
by doing that,
you
I
cannot
push my body.
forget. You cannot forget about yourself. You're still here. You have a community, like you could go back, tell your story from the 80s. You do understand these
I am going to try. I am going to try to get out there. I am.
They need it, Kim.
Because I'll do it for them before I'll do it for myself.
But when you're doing it for them, you're doing it for yourself because it's like a mirror. Once you start talking to these girls and you see these girls, the way they will look at you,
I love
all it takes is for them to read this book. It took me one day. I'm not a B girl. My wife is. She's been breaking for a long time. She doesn't break as much now. She's a realtor, but she's a B girl. And I'm going to tell her, hey, read this. Because reading, it shows so much of history. What other B girl you know that has written a book? I don't know. I researched. I have tons of books of hip hop, from the hip hop gospel. I even bought 50 Cent's book, which has to do with something else, business. I am all about, once you show me that little booklet, I thought it was a book. I was going to ask you, where can you buy that book? Because I love reading.
Everything that's in this thing I got for my house is in that book. So, I mean, the pictures are better on the Kindle because the publishing, because I self-published it. But there's so much ink, colored ink. I wanted to keep the book at a very low price. I wanted it affordable for everybody.
That's beautiful. I didn't care if it could have been $100. I would have bought it.
I don't make crap off of that book. Because
this right here? Like that. Wait, let me see.
Yeah, and you want to know something? The book that I published, that's a full page. But the thing is, it cost money to print color ink. And it was getting to a point where it would have been ridiculous amounts of money for me to print this book.
That's for anyone that's watching. Look at that right there. Like,
that was
come on
France. Now. I think it's in French on the bottom.
Like, when I tell you, there's a lot of B girls that are out there probably trying to write a book, and they probably are not inspired, or they probably believe it will not work.
Listen, everybody has a story.
Yes.
And please don't be like all these people who embellish. Why do they feel their story isn't important as it is? Why do you gotta make it that you were more? Everybody was important. Everybody together made hip hop what it was.
100%. Absolutely. I agree with you.
And my analogy is, I've been saying this for years. To me, it's like a puzzle. Okay. Some pieces are big, some are small, some have color, some are not plain, but you need every single one of those pieces to make the big picture. Without the littlest piece, it's still incomplete. So why can't we all just be happy we were part of such an amazing creation and that we were part of it? Why isn't that good enough? the whole point is, back in the day, I mean, it was love and happiness. We used to have so much fun. I didn't really have any enemies back then. You know, I had people that didn't like me. Me and Peaches never really got along because she didn't like that I, took her out because she thought she was all that. I'm sorry. You can't be mad at me. You want to be mad at me? I was better than you. But then I had like a few people like that. But otherwise, I got along with everybody. Everybody. And we had fun. We were all I mean, I have such fond memories. And these people won't even talk to me today. I don't get it.
And I believe that's not a great example for the next generation.
No, it's not.
Because I am a product of the 90s. You're a product of the 80s. Then you got the ones before you that were products of the 70s.
Correct.
I don't want it to be 2030, 2040 in the year 2040 that I'm talking about, that I'm not talking to any of my 90s B-boy friends or B-girl friends that we don't get along. Then the next generation is going to be like, what the hell is those? What's up with all these old school? And I just believe it's ego driven. I think people are afraid that they're being forgotten. And that's the reason why I'm doing Flash Talk. So you could tell your story. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's a puzzle. I want to make sure that peace is created through this. Yes. That maybe someone watches this show and they're like, wow, I never knew that Kim was like that. I never knew her story. I never knew. And then they could give you a call and say, hey, I apologize. Or, like, hey, I was wrong.
You want to be somebody for people to look up to? Then be somebody for people to look up to. Okay? You have to put, I hear people around the world, they're either angry or they laugh. Yo, these people can't get their story straight. 50 people created the windmill and 40 people, and they're like, some people are angry and say, that I grew up knowing this to be history and people lied to me. They've been lying to me and knowing they lied to me. Like this whole thing with friggin' Crazy Legs. And I hate to use his name because I know some of the people he was, not very good to, let's just put it that way. But Crazy Legs went on and did the Drink Champs, right? And I could not sit through 2.5 hours of bullshit. But he's like, I did the windmill. And people from back in the day know he did not create the windmill. I don't give a shit what story they tell. All right. But I like to deal with facts and proof. And I like to use people's own words against them. Now, he was on Letterman with Ken Swift back in the day. Right. First of all, how they was so out of breath after just a few. We used to pull a 10-minute show, and I would be panting like that because I used to smoke Newport. So that doesn't mix. Don't smoke cigarettes if you're going to dance. Don't smoke cigarettes, period. But so anyway, when they finally sit down and Letterman says to him, now I'm not saying word for word, but basically what he says is, wow, are these your moves? Did you make these moves? And he goes, nah, everybody's doing them. If I would have done my spin or the helicopter and he said that to me with my spin, I would have said, yes, that's my move. I created that. Or the other ones, no, my guys created it, but I'm the only female I know who has done this. That's how I would have answered because that's the truth. And when people are nervous or, some people get nervous when they're interviewed or whatever, the truth comes out. They didn't mean to it to come out, but it slipped out anyway. But that's my point. If you created windmills, why didn't you tell David Letterman when he asked you?
Now, not only that, Kim, how about this in 1957? Tell me about that.
Oh, yeah, I know. Did you see mine with Frank Darrow? Did the Corpse of Lisbon in 1933? Yes. He used to do another move. I got to look at his old movies when they come on because Frank Darrow, he was, to me, a B-boy. He did lots of moves, not just the corkscrew head spin, but he did some kind of shoulder move. I seen him do, I can't even know how to describe it because I caught it. I got to watch some of his movies and but everything, but you know what? We didn't have access to that. So we didn't know, so you got to kind of give credit. Like they said, good ideas are like mushrooms. They pop up everywhere. So when you're a dancer, these people, their competition back then was insane. Everybody wanted to be famous. In the Depression, it was the only way to make money, really big money. You know, people wanted to be famous. The vaudeville, you had to have something special in your act that wowed, that nobody else was doing. So they would come up with these insane. I seen the guy spin the girl on the headstand to headstand.
Oh yeah, they do.
But he had the cup in between.
Yes.
I've seen versions of the 3-man, you know. But my guys will tell you they created that from the martial art movies.
All of them say that because everyone that I talked to, they were into comic books and martial art movies.
Absolutely.
That's where I always hear.
And that's the truth. That's the truth. Superheroes and martial arts.
Amazing.
Huge influence
now we're getting to the end of the show, and I know there's so much to cover, and I know so much years. There's so many things you did. It's very difficult to put it in 3 hours or 2 hours. It's just so hard because imagine the rehearsals, imagine the behind the scene, music videos, commercials, movies, things you did, tour bus stories. Things that probably happen.
I like the funny stories the most.
I love funny stories too.
One guy told me in where is he from? I don't know if he was from the Netherlands too. He's in another country, and he said he was reading my book and he's laughing. And his wife and his kids were like, "What are you laughing at? What's so funny?" He said, and he says, "Oh, I read you my friend, this girl I know. She wrote a book, and it was the Susie Font story that I tell in my book."
I like that story.
That you know, so much shit happens. And what I wanted to do is take the reader, especially if they never made it dancing, they never got to go on a tour. They, you know, just
you gave good details in it. I'm gonna be honest with you. You made me envision it. You made me envision it.
That's anything all a writer can ask, because I'm supposed to be working on other books, have nothing to do. Spiritual book. I have one book. It's called "People Suck." Are you one of them? And it's just, it's funny. Like chapter 2 is all about driving and shit that people do that drive us.
Do you publish it already?
Huh? No. I kind of put everything aside when Lou passed, and I had to find a place to live.
Well, if you need a proofreader, I'm right here.
But unfortunately, I have opposite of writer's block. I come up with too many.
So you're like poet laureate.
50 notebooks filled, poems, story ideas, song, all kinds of shit, inventions. Telling you, 8 computers in this house between me and my husband. Laptop,
holy
computer.
Shit.
I had a little writing one, write on his. Write. Everywhere you go, there's paper, pads, pencils, because I'm always jotting down shit. I could never write. If I live 2 more lives, I can never write all the ideas that I come up with. So I know the show's way past time to go.
It's all good. We could be here forever, but I have a question.
Yes, babe.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
My son, for being the best mother that I can be. And if I had a nickel for every person who has complimented me, whether I know them or not, because they'll say, I need to meet the woman who raised you, and he is my greatest creation.
That's beautiful.
I'm sorry, I don't know, and nothing else compares to my
son. No, that's beautiful, because if they ask my mom that and she says that about me, I'm gonna be the happiest son alive. So that's beautiful, beautifully said. So I'm gonna give you your own screen, and I want you to tell everybody what you're up to these days. Where can people find you online and connect with you? You never know. People are watching all over the world. Hey, if you get a phone call and they say, hey, we want to fly you to Europe, I want you to do this. You better not say no, girl, because let me tell you.
Are you going with me?
Hey, you invite me, I'm with you.
Okay.
I'll be your side. You know what?
We'll get Morris and Josh, and off we go. Family.
There you go. That's
and
that's
your wife.
good.
Your wife's invited.
There you go. Oh, she has to go.
Gotta
yes,
have
and
hopefully,
hopefully you get to meet her soon because we
That would be
still
nice.
Morris. I have to take that dinner, and we all got to sit down,
Absolutely.
have some lunch, dinner,
Okay.
whatever it is. But take it away, girl.
Basically, I'm really on Facebook you can find me Kim A Kazi, last name Valente, Valente. I'm also on Instagram and LinkedIn. I don't really get there much. I'm not a big internet person, but if you're going to contact me, just don't do it in the morning. But, I just want to say to everybody, just be true to you and have faith that you are enough. You are enough, because it's coming to a point where everybody wants their story told, but we want it told honestly and the way it really happened. And there's enough cake for everybody. And for all the new upcoming dancers, B-boys, B-girls, just have a passion, learn, practice. And my greatest advice that I always give is always make it look like you meant that shit. So if you have a move that maybe you're not always completing, always have another move that you'll go into if you fall, because I've done that before in performances where something just went crazy. And I got one of the biggest applauds out of a mistake. But be careful, because you don't want to end up like me. But I thank Flash so much for being here. And if you want to get my book, it's called The B-Girl in a B-Boy World. And you could find that anywhere. Google it. It's on Amazon. You could get it on ebook or Kindle. So, like I said, you can.
Do you have a hardcover one? I love the hardcover ones.
I love a hardcover more, but then the book would cost $40.
That's right.
I wanted to make it under $10, and that was not happening. But I want to thank you so much. It was so nice to be on your show, and we're gonna be in touch for sure.
Yes, for sure. Thank you, Kim.
And thank you for what you do, because you do it faithfully, and you have big people, and it's I always check to see who's going to be on, so I don't do that a lot, believe me.
Okay, well,
I'm
gonna take it as a compliment.
I always check you out. Absolutely.
I love it. But thank you. It's an honor. You don't even understand how excited I was when I knew I was going to interview you. And it's such an honor. And like I said, I'm here to give you your flowers. If you didn't get those flowers back then in the 80s, I will give you the flowers now for the world to see. So thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I go by the name of Flashback. This is Flash Talks, history worth listening to. That's Kim A Kazi Valente. Ladies and gentlemen, come on. Thank you very much. And everyone, stay behind for just a few minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and good night.
Yeah.